Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown! What a run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Ciancia.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Dig deep. Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik for the touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Craig Allen Smoak, the Dragon, is off, not just today. He's off for the rest of the week. And Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoak. Good afternoon. We start a new week. We're closing in on the start of the college football season. We have, a couple of weeks left before K-State, Iowa State in Dublin, Ireland, and then the first full weekend following that as well. Glad to have you back. Paul Catalina, it new open. It's gorgeous. Thanks to Batteries Plus. And they're a brand new sponsor of our show, 365 Sports on YouTube.
Hopefully someday soon that or something else will be over, like a video open that like animates and moves. So we anticipate that happening because of Rogue Media and our like Corey Dickman and our new partners and all these different things, John and all that. We have a new graphics package that's on the way. We just don't know. We don't know when yet. So,
okay.
And here's the deal. It is officially football season. Like this is our preseason too.
Yeah,
for football. So it's our preseason. So this is what they go.
Well, it is. And we're glad you're here. Thank you very much. We will have in just a moment the preseason coaches poll in college football, which there's a couple of stories that we could start with, but let's start with one that came out just a little bit ago. When it comes to the NCAA men's and women's basketball tournaments, Dan Gavitt, who is the I guess you could say NCAA director of basketball, saying that they will not expand the tournament for the 25-26 season, which of course would be in March of next year, March and April. So that was something that was on the table. They will continue to discuss the possibility of going from 68 to 72, 76, whatever, for what would be a couple of years from now. I'm happy. I hope they never expand it. I'm going to say never, not unless I see better options. But this is good news. A lot of people did not want to see this happen. Brett Yormark and many others did, but at least for now, it will stay put for one more year.
Yeah, I think I've been very adamant that it needs to not stay put it needs to stay put forever. Like they don't need to expand it. It'd be dumb to expand it. It's not expanding it either to make sure that those bubble teams in the one bid leagues get in. That a team that, went 35-2, and then the second loss happens to be in the championship game of their conference tournament, and then they get bumped out because they're in the Ivy League, and the Ivy League only gets one. Well, that's not fair. That's not right. It's not to make sure that Yale goes in because they lost to Princeton. No, it's made to make sure that Michigan can get in on a year when they're barely over 500 in their league and their league is already really deep. It's made to make sure that North Carolina can get in on a bad year, or that even more than 13 SEC teams can make it in. And I think that I'm not trying to knock on them this particular year, but I think you could have cut that off at 11 and been fine. And all those teams, 11 would have earned it. And people would have been like, well, it's a bummer for Oklahoma. And
the extra 4 to 8 teams, whatever they decide at some point, because they will expand beyond 68. I hope not. But those 4 or 8 teams will rarely be Wichita State or Loyola Marymount or anyone like that. It will be just more, as Paul mentioned, the power conferences, which would also include the Big East too, by the way, in that particular mix when it comes to basketball. All right, we have spent, we discussed at times that preseason polls are great because it's good to talk about, great to talk about, gives you discussion, also gives the networks, until games are kicked off, at least a number to put next to there, like number 1 against number 2. Whoa. Where are we? They got the wrong graphic up, Brad. It's the top AP college poll, USA Today college coaches poll. But you put it up, and it's great discussion. There are concerns that it also sets the tone for the wrong narrative, that it gives too many people off the top a bubble, as I've mentioned before, that, this just kind of plays itself out. The good news here, 1 and 2 is not a surprise. Penn State was probably nibbling at that, Paul. Texas and Ohio State will play in Columbus. The good news here is, yes, the SEC has 9 teams. The Big Ten has 10. The Big 12 has 5. The ACC 3. And then also Notre Dame, independent, and the group of 5 team representing. And it's always like at 25 in the preseason poll is Boise State.
Now, I have a problem with Ole Miss being as high as they are at 15. I don't know, with as many players as they lost, that you want to put them back at 15. I think also, though, that for the coaches as well, it's really hard for the media. It's going to be just as hard for the coaches when you have this much player movement to look at something and go, well, I think Ole Miss should be good because we wanted a lot of their guys, right? Or I think that, Miami's going to be good because we know Carson Beck is a good player, maybe not as good as Cam Ward, but it's really hard to peg. So I agree, I think, wholeheartedly with the top 6, that those are the top 6 teams. Would I have ordered them differently? Absolutely. I would have put Penn State at number 1 because, quite frankly, they have the most returning players that we know have produced well together as a team. They did not have to do that much out of the transfer portal. They have upgraded at defensive court. Well, I mean, they don't upgraded. Tom Allen went to Clemson. They hired Jim Knowles. So, I mean, like, they might have upgraded. Like, those guys are both really good. That's like saying, who would you rather have, right, Dick LeBeau or Monty Kiffin? Like, they both kind of invented a defense. So, but Penn State still has that. Georgia is still Georgia, and they've shown that even though that it's not the same, that they can still kind of just reload there. Notre Dame, I think, is loaded for bear this year. And Clemson, I would rank a little bit higher because they are probably a team that's going to be there at the very end of the year. After that, we can kind of, move things around however we want. I think Iowa State's too low. I would not put Tennessee should probably be in the top 25. But I mean, like, why are they ahead of Iowa State? Why are they ahead of Kansas State? Why is Michigan that high? Because we don't know that much about them. Those are things. But again, it's really hard. So there's not a lot of teams that I would put in or take out. I may just rearrange the order a little bit based on attrition. I would probably put LSU higher.
All right, here's what I saw. I looked at that, and I got to tell you, the first thing I started thinking about, okay, how many of the SEC teams did they jam inside the top 10. And I know some of you think I'm hating when I say that. No, it's not their fault. It's not the SEC's fault if others want to put. Now, I know this is a coaches poll. The coaches poll is not just the Power 4 schools. It's not everybody in the SEC, all 16 teams. It is from the American Football Coaches Association, and there's a bunch of coaches who vote. But I thought this was about as spread out as I've seen, and I don't have last year's, and I'm not going to go back and look at it, but it just seems to me this is about as spread out as I've seen. Now, what you do see, and it's like clockwork, is a group of 5, Boise State, no matter how good they've been. I know Ashton Genty's gone, but they're still good at 24-25. And you look at 20 through 24, 4 of those teams are in the Big 12. So it's like, well, there's more than just 1 or 2 teams that should be ranked. Why isn't Arizona State 8? Why are they not getting a little bit of a bump? You know, they got to prove themselves. But it's kind of clockwork. You're going to stick, well, we got to put them in there 20 to 25. And that's exactly what happened. But, hey, I'm not bitching about that. They got 5 teams in, SEC 9, Big 10 6, and the ACC with 3.
And part of this is just what did you tell? What's your saying about how we've always done it?
Yeah.
How we've always done it gets you beat.
Yep.
Well, how they've always done it has always been at least one shade of wrong, right? Depending on the year. But now things are so different. And I don't think that part of the reason that we're having these constant discussions about rankings are that we don't really know how to do it now. Like it's way harder, and it is.
Why is it way harder? Because the conferences are so big, so we're not playing each other?
The conferences are so big because they're playing each other. Also, Smoaky, free agency exists now.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so, and I keep saying this, and I think it falls on some deaf ears, not here, but we have to assess year-to-year teams like we do in professional sports in college athletics now.
Right.
We have to look at that in the same fashion. So if we were looking at a Super Bowl preview this year and, like who are the teams that are going to make it back, and you just put in the teams from last year that make it, well, the NFL has shown you over the years that the team that usually loses in the Super Bowl, now granted that team usually have Patrick Mahomes,
right?
So, but he's a bit of an outlier. But statistically, the teams that lose in the Super Bowl usually settle it, have a gigantic setback, as the Eagles did a couple years ago. If you'll remember, they lost some guys. They had some guys that were at the end of their careers, and they had to reboot. Now they rebooted faster because they have a good front office, and that's going to be the same way in college football. That okay, Ohio State won the Super Bowl, won the CFP last year. They won the title. All right, but they lost a ton of guys. They lost coaches. They lost all this stuff, and they are trying to rebuild. How good is their infrastructure all the way down that you can do that? Now, before, you could look at a team like Ohio State and go, well, I mean, just because of the way that recruiting works, and they'll have guys with experience, and even if their 5-star freshmen can't play or these red shirts aren't quite ready and they're situational or role players, they've got some guys that have been there for 3-4 years that can step in and run the offense. That's not the case for any of these 25 teams anymore, in that every single team on the list, some of those guys that would be starting their 3rd year left and went somewhere else so they could start in their first.
Ohio State beat Texas. Am I right in the semifinals? Was it the semifinals? Yeah. Texas lost Quinn Ewers. Now everyone thinks Arch is better. They lost a lot of people too.
Well, 4 of the 5 in the offensive line.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I would think if you're Steve Sarkisian, first of all, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
That's how quick. Do you know, I did not know this. Now, the coaches poll, it all depends, and I didn't look at the timeline here, but it used to be called the UPI poll. That was the coaches poll. There was the AP and UPI. Then it became the coaches poll. This is the first time, not the AP poll. Texas has won national titles 5? 4?
Yeah.
5. They won a couple in the 6-3. They won 63, 69, and they shared it in 1970 and then 05. So they've won, I think, 4. I could be wrong. Don't get all of my ass about it. I think it's 4. National titles, straight up national titles. They've never been ranked number 1 in the coaches poll. Now, I don't know when the coaches poll actually began, but it's not like last year. It's not like in the last 10 years. They've changed the name of it at times, but it's the first time they've been ranked number one, as much as they had that great run for a long, long time, and then they had the drought from 1970 to 2000, Vince Young 5. They still had some good teams right after the 1970 national title. That kind of surprised me. They have not been ranked number one in the coaches poll to start the year.
I had a UPI once. I had to take a lot of medicine. I didn't like it.
That's a UTI.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's what I had. That's what I had soon after I had prostate surgery, and was a battle, believe me. But all right, now, so in the chat room, let's see. I got a lot going on already right here. Sharice, why would Texas be number one over Ohio State when Ohio State beat them last year in the postseason? Well, that doesn't mean that Ohio State's better this year. We'll know a little bit about that when we see them play in Columbus.
I hope that was before everything I just said.
I think that might have been maybe about the time.
Okay, my point is, Brandon, put the camera on me, please. I have to look right in the camera and say this. Okay, there's free agency. I'm going to say it again. There's free agency in college sports now. And college football in particular suffers a lot from it. So when you look at something and go, hey, this team beat this team in the postseason last year, then you start doing the math on how many guys left. We don't really know. We don't know. We have no idea how this team's going to gel together. It's not like, and the thing is, it's not controlled like professional free agency. There can be holes. Like, you're not going to lose 31 guys off an NFL roster unless you desperately want to. Like, if you're rebuilt, the Texans did it a few years ago. Why? Because they traded for a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah.
They had a new general manager, and he's like, listen, I'm cutting the dead weight. We're only going to sign free agents to max 2-year deals, and everybody's going to move out the door. That's what we're going to do. So in college football, it's not like that. You can have 30 new guys on a team that won the national title last year or was in the playoffs if it happens. It usually doesn't, but if you lose, say, 20 to graduation in the NFL draft, which Ohio State did, and you have to replace those 20, some with transfer portal guys, some with younger players, and the guys who you were relying on to be veteran players and step up to those positions so you didn't have to play younger players are not that good yet or not that ready yet. You don't have them because they left. And I will give you an example of who's this affected on a way that's more reasonable than, a swing from a great team to a bad team. I will say Clemson's been affected a lot, because I say a lot. It's Clemson was a 9-3 team without, modernizing their approach to rosters, and they were still really good, but they were not Clemson as we knew them. Correct? They were not Clemson, the team that knew all those things and did all those things the same way, and kind of rolled through. They were just kind of another good team. That was who they are. So that changes. So that means a team like Ohio State could wind up being 9-3 because you have to rely on younger players who may not be ready yet. So again, I'm going to give you the Clemson example of there's a team that's really good, but because of the nature of free agency, look, guess who Clemson lost last year? Andrew Makuba, who was playing in the semifinals and who wasn't.
Yep.
Andrew Makuba. You can't just replace a guy that's that good and all the time. And so used to, Clemson would just be like, oh, he graduated. Well, this guy's a redshirt sophomore. He's been here for 3 years. It's his turn to start. Oh, he graduated. Here's a true freshman that has to be here.
It's just different. It's different. Do we have the two-shot? Can we put the two-shot up? We're talking about a kind of a conversation here. Thanks for those of you in the chat room. There's a lot of argument. Here's what I think is great, that we have a poll. It doesn't mean anything. Now, does it affect where they will be when the college football playoff committee meets and has their first? Will that influence them in any way? Maybe. We don't know that. We don't know that. And then, of course, the AP poll, which is the media, comes out on Monday. So there we are. Let's put it up one more time, Garrett, please. The top 25. This is the coaches poll with Texas at the top. Ohio State, they get to play each other immediately. And unless it's a 35-10 game, they're not moving very far down. Not unless they lose another game like in the next week or 2 or 3 after that. Texas and Oklahoma, if it's 27-23, then guess what? they'll be in the top 5 for the rest of the year, barring something where they just hit the skid. So there we are. Arizona State, the highest ranked team. Did you think that the Big 12 would have a team higher than number 10? Did you think the ACC would have 2 teams inside the top 10 with Clemson and Miami?
Yes.
But then 3 overall with SMU being at 16.
Yeah, and I think, if there was a team I would put from the outside in, and I would maybe put Louisville in the top 25. I think they're going to be quite good.
Who comes out?
I would actually maybe grab one of those SEC teams towards the back and kick them out. I think Florida should be in it. I'm not totally convinced that Tennessee should. I'm really not, given all the things that have happened. I think they need to, I think they're getting a bump on the fact that they were in the playoffs last year. But I mean, again, they're I can give you examples. You know who the team with the least amount of turnover on this board is? And I know this off the top of my head. This is how much I think about these stupid things. Do you know the team with the least amount of turnover on this board?
South Carolina?
No. It's Iowa State.
Yep.
Iowa State took 8 transfers. And they lost, of those 8 transfers, a couple of them will hop in and start. Some other ones will be role players, but for the most part, they're not replacing a whole lot of starters. They are replacing 2 wide receivers, and that's a big thing. But does that mean I think they should be 22nd? No, I would probably put them around 15 because I think they're going to be very, very good. But again, this is I'm not knocking the coaches here at all. Do you think that all the coaches know that they only had 8 transfers?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you think all the SIDs who also helped the coaches do this knew that they only had 8 transfers? No. So on and on and on. There's tons of different things that you can put through here that are that. And look, coaches and people in the athletic departments are just like all of us. I mean, they're people who follow the game, so they're not immune to hype. So why wouldn't you think that especially if you recruited Arch Manning and you wanted him as well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do all why wouldn't you think he's that? Why wouldn't you get hyped about it?
No, I mean, I expect him to be really, really good. I don't know if I would have, if any of those other teams would have a quarterback. For example, Ohio State's quarterback is saying, right? Mm-hmm. He hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
No matter his hype, but he's got the hype too. He's a high 5-star player.
He was the number 1 quarterback in the country. Yep. So there are those things, and you do, but again,
Penn State's quarterback is back. Garrett, Georgia was
Stockton.
Stockton's back after we only saw him though for a brief amount of time. Notre Dame, they got a new quarterback. Clemson's got Klubnik. Oregon's Dante Moore. Alabama's Ty Simpson. There's some question marks among those first 8. LSU with Nussmeier. Okay. And then Miami has the new quarterback and the transfer, of course, the veteran Carson Beck.
Okay, I'm going to run through, and I can do this so fast. Returning quarterbacks in the top 25. Number 3, number 6, number 9.
7? Oh, no, that's right.
Yeah, number 9, number 11, number 12, number 13, number 16, number 17, sure as hell ain't number 18, number 20, number 21, 22, 24, and 25.
Yep.
So
about half.
About half of them.
But a lot of those were on the back end.
Most of them are on the back end.
Yeah.
So
Paxton threw this up in the chat. I didn't look at this because we've seen Oklahoma start to, that slide that they've been in. First time since 1999 that they have not been ranked in the top 25 of the coaches poll. Even after when Venables had a losing record his first year, they were still ranked in the top 25. The top 25, is there a logo missing? Is there a logo that is missing that is obvious? Garrett?
I mean, I don't know if you would count USC anymore, given the Lincoln Riley, but that's one.
But I don't think if they aren't in the top 25, that isn't like, oh my God, Correct. They're not in it. Just like Oklahoma's not in it. Earn it. Earn it like everybody else does, no matter your history. Today, our guests include Brett McMurphy. He'll join us at 3:40. Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews, including his picks as far as the conference champions. Patrick Crakes of Crakes Media consultant, former media, network media employee and vice president. He'll join us today at 4:30. Owen Schmidt, one of the toughest players you'll ever see. I don't know if was Cam Scatteraboo good? Probably not, but he was Cam Scadaboo style when he was a fullback at West Virginia. And then also today we'll have Andrew's poll results following Paul's top 5 today at the end of the show. We will, and I'm out a little bit this week, going to try to have every day a former Big 12 player and a pretty good player from one of the teams throughout the week and maybe next week as well. For example, Amadi, former Oklahoma State linebacker and safety, who was a team captain, will join us. He'll be a part of the show tomorrow. And so we appreciate his time. But today, Owen Schmidt and Jed Drenning, who's a sideline reporter for West Virginia, said, ask him how many face masks he broke when he played football at West Virginia. All right, a couple of other stories. Those are a couple of really good bangers off the top of the show today. The transfer portal. So there are certain trends. Oh, no, I'm sorry, recruiting. July recruiting. Now, you can guess, out of all those teams, who do you think sent me this image over the weekend?
Texas fan?
No.
I was going to say Paxton's there. Yeah.
No. Because it's not a surprise that who's the surprise?
Alabama fan?
No. Who's the name on here?
Coulter.
Tech.
Kim Coulter.
Yeah.
We love Kim and also North Star Funding Partners. He said, look at what we've done in July. And, of course, he's incredibly proud and also a little bit like, not leery, but there's a lot of like, man, okay, we've earned this hype. Now can we figure it? Can we do something with it? But that was pretty neat, so I put it up there. Now, here are the team rankings through July according to Rivals.com. You look at the top 10, and really there's not much of a surprise. There's a team or two maybe that you would think, based on commitments, high school football now, not portal, that are in the top 10. Then the rest up until 50. That's all they do. They go down to 50. BYU, Tech, Baylor, TCU, Houston, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Arizona, and Iowa State. It's almost like the top 25, though, Paul. You have everybody in the top 10, and then all 10, 15, and then you get they all jam-packed in the lower half of the top 50.
Well, also, I mean, like, I think that there need to be, like, recruiting metrics are even harder because this is just based on high school players, but if you're like, let's just say that you have the 47th ranked recruiting class and you routinely turn that in to the 12th ranked team, then maybe the recruiting rankings are wrong. Mm-hmm. But I'm just throwing that out there for Arizona State's sake, if that's what Kenny Dillingham does. But yeah, and part of it is that, yeah, the blue chips are going to go to the blue chip places. I mean, everybody on that top 10 is a name in one regard or another. Only 2 of them in the top 10 have not won a modern national title, and all the rest have, right? So, and only one of them hasn't won a national title, and that's Oregon. A&M, everybody else has won a title, but A&M's was in 1939. So I'm not pretending like that, like anybody's doing it.
Wait a minute, I thought there was a date on their stadium somewhere.
There's some. I think they took it down with their remodel, but
just giving them some trouble.
Look, I'm sure there's guys that are like, listen, I came here because of Dana X Bible.
Yeah.
But
how many from 23 to 49 have won a college football national title?
Only one of them.
BYU,
yes. So, and so it's not surprising that it works out that way. But I do think that these recruiting rankings, they're two-parted now. They're high school and transfer portal. And, how that goes each and every year is, a constant. It's not like the faucet's never turned off, right? It's not like you turn it on and turn it off. In fact, that's one of the things that people have been fighting against for so long is the on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. And we need some time to turn it off, but it's a constant flow. So, but I'm not surprised with this. And I'm not surprised that Tech has now gotten a couple 5-stars in the fold because of their strategy, which is the smartest one of we need to be able to attack on all fronts. Some countries don't have a Navy, right? Like that's why the U.S. has a strong military. We have everything that you would need. You have an Air Force, a Navy, an Army. You have all these different things. And then some places, they don't have a Navy because they're landlocked. Well, that's what you want in recruiting. You want everything that you can have. So it's high school, it's transfer portal, it's JUCO. And the best ones who have all those things are getting the best combination of players out of that are the ones in the new era who are going to do the best.
Well, and there you go. But Texas Tech, Kim, enjoy that, and he should. And that's why he's like, it kind of, I don't think that like took him aback. It was like, damn, it's nice to be a part of that.
What if I invented a time machine and told somebody that in July of 2025, I went back to like 1997, and I just said, hey, in July of 2025, one of the wealthiest athletic departments in the country is going to be Texas Tech, and they are going to be getting recruits at a clip that is making the establishment pull their hair out. They'd have been like, "No, what has happened in the future?
What rules changed?
Yeah, well, are there robot quarterbacks? What's going on? You know."
By the way, Oklahoma State did get Oklahoma A&M got a piece of a national title back in 1945.
Thank you, Wet Blanket or Barry Crawford.
No, I actually looked that up.
Oh, okay.
I thought there was a team in the 40s that was recognized. And then I also checked with the Wikipedia page, which is not always 100% correct, but pretty good, that they have a claimed national title back in 1945. But again, it's not the AP. There was no UPI, but they did have a piece of a national title. All right, what else do we have here? Garrett, what's next?
Transfers.
Transfer portal. So I think this is David Ubben who put this out there. The class of 2021 top players' career utilization of the transfer portal. There's a graphic, and I have it here. I knew as soon as I went to go get it, I would not have it in front of me. Here is the graphic of what teams or what players do, how often have they changed, and here's the number one couple of stats from this. The top 50 prospects at each position were used in this survey. The transfer percentage, multi-transfer percentage of the top prospects from the class of 2021. Quarterbacks transferred 84% of the time. Not surprised. 36% of the time, multiple times. Running back 70, wide receivers 82. The highest percentage at quarterback. That is not, I didn't know it was 84%, for God's sakes, but I do know that's where you see all the movement. Well, 84% of the class of 21 quarterbacks have transferred once. 36 of them have transferred at least twice.
Yeah, and that's the one I was most interested in because, look, I personally get transferring once, but if you have to transfer twice and it's not because of coaching changes, I just question whether we're doing something wrong here. You're doing something wrong. Like, you're not going to get better constantly moving around as a player.
No.
Like, you have to plant some roots somewhere and dig in and get better. Now, there are a very small number of people in any sport that can hop around and be the same everywhere and be good where they are. But it's still not the best way to do things. Quarterbacks are the one I'm not surprised that it's that high because you can only play one at once. You can't play two at a time. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to be kind of blocked by somebody who's got, some eligibility the same as you do, and they're the starter, well, you're going to go somewhere where you can start and play. But, the skill position players do kind of surprise me a little bit in that, if you're a good enough running back or wide receiver, you're getting on the field.
No, yeah.
And so you may not be the number one guy.
84%.
Yeah. That is still probably a little bit high because sometimes you show up and you're a badass in high school, but guess what? Compared to all the other guys in the position room, you're a scrawny, gangly guy who needs to put on weight, or you've not run a system that's conducive to college. All these different things.
This was out of 600 players. Why did they use 2021? It was the first year in which the transfer portal really became a thing. Here's just a note. What was the year that they were using here? In 2011, 24 quarterbacks among the top 50 transferred. 24 out of 50. But overall, for 2011, the transfer overall was 16% of players transferred. Now, rules were different. You couldn't. You had to be a graduate transfer or sit out a full year. So there we are with the trends in college football when it comes to the transfer portal. We'll get much more. General managers had a meeting over the weekend, some of them in college football, about what would they What would they be good with moving forward if rules changed or were changed or added in college football? Also, a note from a listener, a viewer on Baylor running back Bryson Washington and what he expects. Des Bryant going after Jerry Jones. Man, the Cowboys, he was still talking about him. Jerry had a Woody all weekend long. Can I say that?
Des Bryant is also in a Twitter battle with Nicki Minaj.
Okay, yeah, there we go. And then, so there we are. Congratulations to former Baylor linebacker Dylan Doyle, who is getting a job as an intern to coach with the Buffalo Bills. That was a note that I saw from over the weekend. Accepted that opportunity, 6-week internship. There's no surprise he was going to end up being in the coaching profession, and he gets the opportunity to be with the Bills Mafia.
Yeah, and he's at CMU right now.
Central Michigan.
Yeah, and so they're letting him go do the internship, and then they'll see how it is. And I'll tell you this: if there's somebody I would bet on to have a great coaching career and a long one, if he sticks with it, is Dylan Doyle.
Yeah, Clay Johnston would have been someone like that.
He's probably could. Yeah.
When we come back, Brett McMurphy also today, as I mentioned, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six previews on many things as we close in on the start of the season. Hope you had a great start to your week. I'm David Smoak with Paul Catalina. Craig is off throughout the week, and this is 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Ken Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, used to be. How can he do that for you? You have to contact him first. He can't just there's a guy that lives in Tuscaloosa. I bet he has low T. How does he know? He knows if you contact him and you're not so sure or you feel like symptoms from ED to lack of sex drive to the fact your energy's not the same. There are a lot of things going on with you, and you feel like otherwise you've taken care of your body. It's part of father time. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. Contact PettyClinicLowT.com, and they will set you up to get your blood work, take care of that for you, get the results, and Dr. Petty will be in touch with you if your testosterone level is too low, to put you in a program to get your testosterone level where it needs to be. Not low T, but real T, good T, at PettyClinicLowT.com.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco during the Make This the Summer event. Check out the all-new Jeeps that are arriving daily. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990. Or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling, and ramp up your summer in style with a Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
As my go-to guy, can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
You have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Allen Samuels in Waco, your Central Texas commercial headquarters. Get a new Ram 2500 Crew Cab starting at just $43,990. Don't miss the savings during the Make This the Summer event. Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Brett McMurphy on 3 joins us on 365 Sports. Craig out again throughout the week. Paul Catalina here with me. And Brett, thank you very much. It's been a few weeks. You had to go to a lot of media days. Of course, not have to, but that's part of the deal. And we're just around the corner from the start of the season. How refreshing it was for us, and we had the NCAA men's basketball, no expansion for another year, but how refreshing is it that we see rankings next to teams, even though we're not real sure if we even know what we're doing anymore with the transfer portal and much more?
Yeah, I'm just glad we're inside 3 weeks for the start of college football, and I'm just glad we don't have to talk about settlements and lawsuits and all that. I guess some people can talk about that, but I'm sure your listeners will be turning the channel. But I mean, it's funny. As soon as you put out a preseason poll, everybody's like, "You shouldn't have preseason polls. They're too early. They mean too much. They influence so much." Yet people read them and consume them and love them and debate them. But that's the beauty of it. And the good news is, if you're in a good spot, great. It doesn't mean anything. And if you're in a bad spot, like Arizona State was last year, it doesn't mean you can't get to the playoff and surprise a lot of folks.
So, Brett, just reading some chat room comments about people asking, like, how can you rank this team over this team given last year? We are now in a poll era that is insanely more difficult to predict out. So these things will be less relevant now than they really ever have been, right?
Well, I guess it's your definition of relevant. I mean, I would say this, I think it's probably the last 10 years, minimum of the last 10 years, the Associated Press preseason poll, which will come out next Monday at noon Eastern time, so 11 o'clock your time. Historically, at least 1/3 of the 25 teams, so we're looking at anywhere from 7 to 9 teams every year that are ranked in the preseason do not finish the year ranked in the top 25. So you can say, well, we've got transfers and it's going to be even more upside down than ever. But look, we haven't had transfer portals the last 10 years, yet we can't get it right. I voted in it every year. We can't get it right. It's impossible. Also, look at the top 10 that comes out next week. There will be at least one team every year for the last, I think, 15 years. One top 10 team ranked in the preseason that will finish the year unranked. So as much as we think we know about college football and have a good read on who's going to end up being good, we don't. And that's the realization of it. I admit to it. I've joked with you guys before. Let's pick the Big 12. Let's put names in a hat when we've all got a good shot to coming up with the top 3 as much as you do analyzing the schedules, the rankings, the yards per play and all that stuff.
Brett McMurphy with us on 3.com. You posted your AP Top 25 poll. That comes out overall next Monday. You have Georgia at the top with Penn State number 2. Your thoughts about the Bulldogs? They're really, really, really good, but they, of course, the standard they set, like Alabama for the longest of time and Ohio State, they weren't there last year, although close.
Yeah, Smokey, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but actually not one person has disagreed with my preseason AP top 25 poll. It's gone back about 2,000 years. Still not one person has disagreed with my poll, and that's how long I've been doing it. Look, there's 7 teams that legitimately you guys could say that team should be number 1, and I would not have any problem with that. And that's basically my top 7: Georgia, Penn State, Texas, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and even Notre Dame. At this point, you're trying to find flaws in teams and trying to justify why one team's above the other. Why I went with Georgia is it's weird. The past 4 years, more wins, more conference title appearances, more national championships than any other program. Yet the vibe that I've gotten, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, it's almost like there's doubt about Georgia. Can they continue it? Gunnar Stockton, what can he do? He didn't, he came in late in the year, looked okay one game, next game, kind of didn't look that great. Well, Georgia had not one of the worst, but the worst wide receiver groups in the country, most drop passes in the free world. So what happens? They had some great transfers. Branch from USC, I think, will be one of the most dynamic players around. And also, I think something that's kind of been overlooked, and you addressed this a little bit earlier, talking about the portal. Georgia has, since Kirby Smart's been at Georgia, I think every year except this first year, they have had a top 3 national recruiting class. They keep stockpiling talent. Obviously, there's a lot of movement now. But I think with all that talent and the fact that, there's kind of that chip on their shoulder cliche, I think people are kind of overlooking them. I think without doubt they will be in the playoffs. Can they win it all? Who knows? We'll have to find out. It all comes down to breaks. But that's kind of why I have Georgia there. I would have put Penn State there, but I can't put Penn State at number 1 until James Franklin wins a second big game. And he's 1-15 against top 5 teams at Penn State. If he can get that second win against a top 5 team, then maybe I would put the Nittany Lions at number 1, because you look at what they return. They are loaded. Drew Aller, the best running back duo in the country. Oh, by the way, they added arguably the best defensive coordinator in the land, and Jim Knowles, getting him from Ohio State. Speaking of the Buckeyes, Penn State's 1-10 under Franklin against Ohio State. So, yeah, they can lose to Ohio State and still win the national title, but that's why I've got Georgia slightly above Penn State and the other schools I listed.
You listed Ohio State down at 6th, which I
know, which is when I did that, I'm going, I am down at 6, but I don't mean to interrupt. But yeah, I'm like, they should be higher, but I slaughtered them.
But you don't we've never seen Julian Sand play. They lost 2 stud running backs. They lost a ton of guys on defense, not to mention the guy who built that defense is now at Penn State, and Matt Patricia takes his place. So these are all factors we have no idea how will affect the team at all. So to put them at number 2, I thought was maybe just a little bit of just a little too high on the coach's part. Not that they're still not going to be one of the 10 to 12 best teams in the country, but they may not, they may not defend it with as much vigor as people may have in the past with an Ohio State team like that, because there's so many factors we don't know about.
Well, the coaches have BYU in the top 25. I don't think they saw the memo that Jake Retzloff is no longer there. But look, Ohio State, they have, I think, the best offensive player in the country in Jeremiah Smith and the best defensive player in safety Caleb Downs. But I do think they are gonna be dinged a little bit. This has been a huge drop off, but by Ohio State standards, I guess it is, from the defending champs to number 6 in my initial ranking. Chip Kelly was unbelievable last year, and they literally changed their game plan after the loss in Michigan and said, you know what, we've gone slow all year. Chip admitted this. We've gone slow all year because the number of plays we're going to have to run, the number of games we're going to have to play. We don't want to wear our players down. So basically, they sandbagged as much as they could until they got through the regular season. We saw a different team in the postseason. Chip is gone. Jim Knowles is gone. And you're right. You've got a new quarterback in there. How will he perform? And again, you can lose to Michigan and still win the national title, but can they solve the mystery of Michigan? They haven't been able to do that. This year's game will be played for those that celebrate this anniversary. 1 day short of the 6-year anniversary when Ohio State last beat Michigan. What does Ohio State want more, a national title or to beat Michigan? The answer is both. I don't know if that'll happen. But, yeah, that's why I feel weird putting Ohio State all the way down there. But I put Clemson maybe higher than people. They're loaded. Cade Klubnik, I think, is set for a big year. Alabama, people that I value their opinions a great deal that are much smarter than I am. And their power rating, I actually have Alabama as their number one power rated team going into the season. But again, you mentioned quarterbacks with Ohio State. We don't know what Alabama's going to do at quarterback. They got a three-person race there. So yeah, there's a lot of warts with everybody near the top. There's not the so-called perfect team. I'm expecting Texas to get the number one spot in the AP poll. A lot of hype around them. But I don't think Texas is going to be able to live up. Specifically, Arch Manning won't be able to live up to the expectations. I don't think that's fair, the expectations that are going to be put on him in Longhorns. But anything short of a Heisman Trophy, anything short of a national title, will basically be a Texas-sized disappointment for the Longhorns.
Yeah, and it's not like Arch is saying, "Hey, look at me, look at me." That's the opposite of what he is. But yeah, the expectation.
It's not him.
Yeah,
it's not him at all. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not fair, Smokey. And whatever he does, people are not going to talk about the 3 touchdown passes he had. They're going to talk about, well, what about that interception?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you're the Heisman favorite. It's unfortunate, and we'll see what happens. But look, hey, they go in and win in Columbus. And you think the hype's big now. Wait till that happens.
Yeah. I remember some of the good things he did when he did play. And then I also remember when he played against that Georgia defense that was destroying Quinn Ewers, they pretty much tied him up in knots too, And so, but I love what he represents and wish him the best of luck. Which, in your opinion, I use the word logo. Which logo in the top 25 do you think gets the biggest bump that they have not earned? Is it Oklahoma, although they had a hell of an offseason? Is it Michigan? Is it Tennessee? Or is it Ole Miss or USC?
I think it's Oklahoma. Venables to 2 of his 3 years at Oklahoma have been losing seasons. The only time that an Oklahoma coach has had 3 losing seasons and not been fired, I know you guys remember this well. It was 100 years ago. So Venables knows what's at stake. He's taking over the defensive play calling. They bring in Washington State's offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, and obviously John Mateer, their quarterback. Again, if we're picking out warts, what did Oklahoma do last year? They did beat Alabama, but other than that, they're a 500 team.
Yep.
They end up 6-7, and the schedule's tough. Half a dozen top 25 teams. I think they may be overrated a little bit of all those teams. I think they're probably getting a little bit more. Promotion for who they are based on being OU. But I don't have the coaches poll in front of me. I think they were not in the coaches poll. So
no, they're not.
Maybe maybe the coaches are smarter than I am in this particular case.
Quick note for me, and Brett, it's great to have you on, my man. It always is. When you fill out your poll, and we know what we think about you and what you represent and all the work and due diligence that you do. Do you get down to about 20 or 22, 23 and go, oh, damn, I need to put a group of 5 team in there? You did not. I wonder if others that have a vote get to about 22 and go, man, I got to put somebody in there because it's a group of 5, like a Boise State or whoever it might be.
That's a really great point. And I think a lot of people do that. And I think when you look at some people's poll, I mean, look, they're all public. When they come out Monday, you can find them. They're all accessible. They're all public.
Mm-hmm.
I put mine out every week. I'm not trying to hide it. But I think some people do kind of almost like a mercy 25 vote to kind of take care of somebody like that. And I human nature, I guess, probably some people do it. I didn't do it because I don't think Boise State or Tulane or Memphis it's not an anti-Boise. It's just I don't think, especially now with the way the portal is and the challenges for the Group 5, Group of 6, being able to field rosters compared with the power conference teams, I just don't think they're that. I don't think they're a top 25 team. The power ratings show that. But I do think people will kind of do. There's a mercy vote and put a non-power team in that 25 spot. I did not do that. If they, win some games early and look like they're a top 25 team, I'll certainly climb them up there right away. But at least from the outset, I don't have them.
2 weeks away from the first week, the games, K-State, Iowa State, and then, of course, the first full weekend, some really good ones off the top.
Brad, have you convinced On3 to send you to Ireland?
No, I'm trying to. I got bigger priorities. Trying to convince them to let me cover the Hawaii Bowl. So, I'm working on that one. But hey, I'm glad. I was all prepared to get the onslaught of why didn't you rank Baylor? I mean, like I listed 15 teams after my top 25 that could have been in basically from 18 on down, and Baylor's in that group. I mean, it's just when you were saying about when you get to a certain point, do you think about who you rank at 25? To be very candid, once you get at about number 10, you literally have 24 to 3 dozen teams that you could fill out the rest of your top 25 with. And certainly the good news for Baylor is with that opening schedule, in the month of September, we will know right away if Baylor is a contender or pretender. There will be no doubts about it. So I give them a lot of credit, and I'm just glad we didn't have to talk about the Lollipop Guild from The Wizard of Oz during this conversation. If you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Thank you, my man. Baylor. Hey, if they beat SMU and Auburn to go 2-0, then they'll be in the top 25. They can take care of themselves. But the Big 12, Brett has K-State as the highest ranked, Arizona State, and Texas Tech inside of his top 25. Brett, thank you very much. Have a great week. Thank you very much, Brett. McMurphy, of course, a few weeks ago announced that he was moving and now at On3.
So I have to tell you this because I think you'll appreciate it. Steve Fallon once got roasted, and Brad Sham was the MC of this roast. And he and I were really the only people up there that kind of like knew how the roasting works.
Right.
And one of the people on the panel was Grant Taft, which tried to roast that guy. I mean, what negative or like what I can tease about. So I just kind of had to make fun of everybody else around him. But what I said about Brad Sham is Brad is a fellow short guy like me. But the joke I wrote for Brad Sham, which he came back really well with, was I said, what you guys may not know about Brad Sham, or what you know about him, is that he is an award-winning broadcaster and has been with the Cowboys for pretty much my entire life, and is one of the best play-by-play voices you can hear. What you do not know about him is that he is the most successful graduate of the Lollipop Guild.
Yes. Yes.
And Brad's response to it was, Paul, I would say that's a good joke, but I don't know who the hell you are. Yeah.
But
yeah. And that was only the second time I'd met him. And the first time was totally in passing.
My God.
It was Steve going, "Oh, Brad, this is Paul, my co-host." And Brad going, "Oh, nice to meet you."
Yeah.
And then he had things to do. So
my God, good for him.
Yeah.
Brett McMurphy, appreciate his time. Hey, by the way, Dan Wetzel tomorrow, Tim Brando on Wednesday. No Phil Bennett today. He and his wife are about to head to Europe. And so we'll have him on the first Monday, the week of the first full weekend at college football. But a lot to get to, including former West Virginia tough guy, fullback Owen Schmidt joins us today at 5. But Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews. He's next. And this is 365 Sports. I received an email over the weekend from Nick Colwell, who's the new general manager at the Baylor Club, with all sorts of, you call them talking points. These are things that they want me to discuss. I've told you, the Baylor Club with all the amenities and the incredible food, and they're moving some things, and there's some dust and some walls that have been changed a little bit. Man, they're busting it to get ready for the opening weekend at the end of August. Baylor Club celebrating now, starting their 11th year. That's when McLean Stadium opened during the fall of 2014. Starting their 11th year, renovations underway. Better time to be a part of it right now. It's a great time to be a part of the Baylor Club. Football season coming, kicking off in style. Thursday night live membership open house on Thursday, August the 28th, the day before they kick off the season against Auburn. They'll have DJ Jen. Also, get your game day gear for the game if you want it. If you're a Baylor fan, at Baylor Bookstore, Kendra Scott, Love Shack, Fancy, and other local vendors that will be there. Also, join them for the ultimate game day weekend tailgate experience at Knox Hall, Friday, August the 29th, before the game with Auburn. They will have a concert, live broadcast. ESPN, of course, will be there with their live pregame show as more. Hop in, get on the Waco boat tours if you want, up and down the Brazos River. They're rolling. It's time. The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium. Tell them 365 Sports sent you.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling. And wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We had Brett Ciancia on from Pick Six Previews just a few weeks ago. He's fantastic at what he does. His magazine, which is here on the table in front of us. Let me get it out right here in front of us. Here's the one that's on the front of our table. He sent us a copy. Thank you for that. Brett Ciancia joins us on 365 Sports. Brett, thank you very much. Paul Catalina, Craig's out this week. We appreciate your time. You have had this unbelievable run in picking and selecting and predicting and all that kind of stuff. Do you ever get nervous like a coach before the first game as the season's about to start because you have so much out there?
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the praise for the book. 14th annual Pick Six Previews. And yeah, ironically, yeah, I do. It's when week 0 kicks off, it's like all the pregame jitters of the season because, when you put a product out here like this, you want to be right. And that's kind of the goal of it. They're keeping score. They compare all the other magazines together to see who is the most accurate. So when the season kicks off, yeah, you want your picks to do well. So I kind of compare it to everyone has a March Madness bracket or a fantasy football team where every single game factors in. It could be the middle of November, middle of October. Every game factors in. But with the book here, with the magazine, every single conference game factors in because you're graded on conference predictions. So, yeah, every single game matters. I can't wait to kick this season off.
Brett, the coaches rankings came out today. What did you think of how they had everybody situated in that? And how hard do you think it is for coaches to do rankings now, just like everybody else, given the constant flow of player movement that is unprecedented?
Yeah, well, the player movement, yeah, it's a whole different world than when I started Pick Six Previews in 2012. It's a completely new era. It's a lot to keep track of. And I noticed this cycle more than ever, coaches were more private about their rosters, about their two deep, about some young stars that are within the program, canceling spring games, canceling media availability. They don't want their players being coached. So with that, I think there is mystery around a lot of these teams more than ever. Not just the player movement, but like trying to hide their talent within their building. So yeah, in terms of the coaches poll that was released today, it's hard to argue with the teams that are involved in the top 5 and the top 10. I think they're all deserving. You could argue a spot here and there. When you get to that next tier, that 11 through 25, I have a lot of critiques of it. Illinois and South Carolina checking in at 12 and 13. I don't even have them in my top 35. I'm really selling those two teams big time compared to where they're at nationally here. Same with SMU, another team I'd throw out of that top 25. But yeah, I mean, you could always argue, and there's always teams that I'm different on, and other magazines are different on, and that's the beauty of it.
All right, Brett, listen, you on August the 1st, I have the tweet, the college football playoff and the teams that you see happening. First of all, the Big Ten, you have Penn State. I think a lot of people do. Ohio State, of course, is still the mega name and winning the national title, and then Oregon in that mix. Do you just feel like it's time because they made a pretty nice run last year with James Franklin? The quarterback is back, and they look like they got a couple of key transfers in between.
Yeah, a couple of things with Penn State. I'm really high on them. I've got them winning the Big Ten. I've got them number 1 entering the 2025 season, actually. And a couple of things. They're very veteran this year. A lot of guys that could have gone pro, including their 5-star running backs and a bunch of defenders. could have gone pro. They're all back in State College. They want to run it back for 2025. I like that. I like they have a proven quarterback. I know he threw his worst pass of the season in his final pass against Notre Dame, but otherwise it was a really solid year. You saw more explosive plays from Penn State last year than usual. 4 all-conference linemen back on offensive line. And then lastly, I think it's 2 of the best coordinators in the game. People might have their critiques of James Franklin, but I really like what he has at the coordinator spots with Kotelnicki calling the offense, Jim Knowles calling the defense. And when they have the talent advantage, they're number 1 in the country against the spread the last 3 years. So I'd like them to go on and win the conference. They're catching Ohio State and Oregon in transitional years.
I want to go back to South Carolina, Illinois, and SMU. You said you had them ranked outside. Why do you think, given especially since all 3 of them have returning quarterbacks and a lot of returning players, is it schedule related? Is it you don't think that they can repeat what they did last year? What are your reasonings behind that?
Well, yeah, let's start with Illinois. That's a team that brings back a lot of starters, and I'll throw SMU into that category too. They bring back their quarterback and a bunch of the offense. But really, maybe what differentiates me from some of the other pollsters out there is I don't just look at record. I think that's important. Of course, within the season, when you're looking at resumes, wins matter. But if you're trying to project forward to the next season, all 10-3 seasons aren't created equal. So I dig into every game with my formulas. And Illinois last year did not have the stat profile at all of a 10-win team. Great coaching job by Bielema to grind out wins, but a lot of them were close wins over inferior teams. They beat Purdue by 1 point. That's probably the worst team in Power 5 the last decade. So when you dig into it, it wasn't really a top 25 caliber team last year statistically. So while they do bring everybody back, I think that roster has hit its ceiling. SMU, similar, but they do lose a lot on defense. They had 9 all-ACC players on defense last year. 7 of 9 are gone, so they're rebuilding on that side of the ball. And Carolina is a little bit different. I really like their quarterback, Lenora Sellers. Could be a dark horse Heisman candidate, but it's really just keeping up with the Joneses in this conference. It's the top recruiters, the top transfer hauls. So while South Carolina does have a top 25 recruiting class, it's one of the lowest rated in the SEC. So it's just a really crowded league over there.
Is that one of those that you could be the hot topic or hot moment or hot flavor one year, but the next year there's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 that replace you because they're that deep in the midsection or that deep at the top?
Yeah, I think with both the Big Ten and the SEC for this discussion, it's really just the depth of the conferences. Maybe the Big Ten has a better upper tier. Those top 3 of Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon are really strong, and it drops off a bit to that middle tier. The SEC is so deep. You could argue 9-10 teams to win this conference and really contend for playoff spots. So I just see South Carolina falling outside of that chunk of teams. It's just brutal when you compare these rosters in the SEC, especially. It's 5 stars every position, the top transfers, the top coaching staffs. So yeah, I'm selling Carolina a little bit more so because I really like what some of those other middle tier teams. Florida, I'm really high on. Oklahoma, but have them both in my top 15. I think they're more talented teams than what Carolina has. But again, special seasons for all 3 of them last year, that's no guarantee it's going to repeat. Illinois, one last thing on them. If you look back on their history, 10-win seasons are really rare. Whenever they pull off a great season like that, a historic season, they really they fall back the next year. They don't really duplicate. It's kind of a one and done. So we'll see. But a lot of different factors at play. But I'm selling all 3 of those.
Who's your? I mean, you mentioned Oklahoma. That's a team that's a bit of a dark horse to come back in. But do you have an ultimate dark horse that you think is getting absolutely overlooked?
Well, I think you have to look at the Big 12 here because this conference is really deep. They might not have a top 10 team, but you could argue a ton of top 40 and top 25 caliber teams. And I thought they were lacking here in the poll on a couple with TCU is a team I'm really high on. And Baylor. I was shocked to see Baylor not in the preseason top 25. I have them 3rd in the Big 12. I have them checking in at 17th nationally. And here on the big board on the coaches poll, they're not even ranked. So I would disagree with how the coaches poll put it out there where they have Kansas State and Iowa State towards the top. I would swap those 2 out and put in Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU. I think you're going to see the power start to return to the state of Texas for the Big 12 conference. TCU, now that you take Texas and Oklahoma out of the Big 12, look at the recruiting trends, it's really Tech and TCU are your top recruiters now over the last 5 years. So I like them. Baylor is super veteran. Once they figured out their quarterback spot last year, they really turned it on and won 7 straight or 6 straight to end the year and bring back the whole roster. So I think they missed on a couple Big 12 teams.
Brett, there's nobody really that you have as far as your college football playoff that's any kind of a surprise. I mean, because, my goodness, they're all pretty good that you have listed, with 1 or 2 or 3, as you mentioned, that may not make it. Is there somebody that you look at while you were doing all of this information that maybe they're a blue blood or an alpha or a logo, but they're just not someone that's gotten a lot of attention of late that might surprise and join the party?
Yeah, and I thought coming in that my surprises would have been Miami and LSU. I didn't know where the rest of the nation would be evaluating those, but it turns out I guess everybody had it, or at least the coaches poll had it, where LSU and Miami were my last 2 at-large teams, and looks like the coaches poll agrees. So we'll see. Elsewhere, yeah, Florida and Oklahoma, I brought them up earlier. They're really talented teams. They're entering their 3rd or 4th seasons with their head coaches. Great coordinators were brought in. Great quarterbacks now, but problem is their schedule is insane. I know with Oklahoma, they're going to face 7 or 8 ranked teams this year. It's just unbelievable. So while I think Oklahoma and Florida are some of the most talented on paper, their schedules are just kind of eliminating them from playoff talks. But I'll give you one. I like USC to surprise, and this is a team that has really fallen off win-loss record-wise under Lincoln Riley, but kind of the inverse of my explanation of Illinois, where you have to throw the record out a little bit last year and look at the value of the games. USC checked in number 15 in my game grader formula last year, despite a 7-6 record, a ton of 1-score losses, really close to breaking through. But now you get a second-year coordinator, a second-year quarterback, and I think they're going to be on the flip side of those 1-score games and overestimate the 7.5 win total they have. So look at USC to finish 4th in the Big Ten. And sometimes, some years, that might be a playoff bid.
Brett, USC is interesting to me in that, look, they've put a lot of resources out there for Lincoln Riley, and maybe not in the appropriate spots early on. And he's had to grow up as a coach and buy into the fact that tackling is important, which D'Anton Lane was brought in to do. But I think the real measure of Lincoln Riley is going to be this year with Jordan Mailata, who is not like, he's a good quarterback. He was 3-1 last year as the starter, but he is not what he's had when he was at Oklahoma. And then with Caleb Williams that he brought with him from OU, of a super stud quarterback at Heisman U, just kind of ready to go. This is going to show his real skills as a quarterback developer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big moment there because it wasn't just one guy that he recruited and is developing. It was really a head-to-head decision between Mailata and Miller Moss. He started the year with Miller Moss, and after a 3-interception game against Washington, benched Moss and made the switch. Of course, Miller Moss is now over at Louisville with Jeff Brom, and if history serves, Jeff Brom continues to turn these transfers into NFL players. So we'll see. It's going to be a comparison all year how Moss ends up at Louisville versus Mailata at USC. But overall, roster talent is really what catches my eye with USC compared to some of these other middle-tier Big Ten teams. You talked about resources. You're spot on there. I think they were one of the top, if not the top, NIL spenders this transfer portal cycle. So you know how expensive it is to bring in these transfers, and they really put their money up. So it's going to be interesting. Also, I want to see if he can survive one more year. I say that because next year's class, 2026, they're currently ranked number 1 in the country in high school recruiting. So you want to see the guy survive one more year just to get to that, get to coach that class next year. And that might be a turning point for USC as a program.
What do you think about some teams that have underperformed in recent years? You've mentioned USC, you've mentioned Oklahoma. Paul, give me a name or two, a program or well, we know A&M had all the hype with that number 1 overall rated class. Nothing ever happened with that. Elko's brought some stability. Reed is back at quarterback. I saw where they just got a commitment from a 27 quarterback, which of course makes my head explode because that's for me a long time ago. I hope I'm still around during that time. Who has underperformed at a really bad level that you think might finally reach those capabilities outside of OU and USC, and is A&M one of them?
Well, yes, A&M. I've got them 12th in the country. Really impressed with what Mike Elko is building because he's done it elsewhere too. He was great at Duke. He was great at Notre Dame as a coordinator, great at actually here at A&M as a coordinator. So he's done it before. It's a very veteran team. I like what they have at offensive line with all 5 starters back, a couple of future NFLers too on that line. Le'Veon Moss is back healthy. I really like it. It'll hinge on whether Marcel Reed takes the next step as a quarterback. You tend to see that in a guy's second year, so benefit of the doubt there. I think they're going to impress. And then to answer your question, another program that's really underperformed, I think it's the most underperforming program in the last decade in college football, and that's Nebraska. I say that with 2 facts to back it up. It's not just slander. It's, if you look at the Vegas win total every year, that's kind of a metric on where the public perceives them. Nebraska has underperformed against that 10 straight seasons. 10 straight win totals they've gone under. That's one of them. But then also in my book, I like to compare the recruiting rankings to the actual win conversion. Are they actually winning with their talent on the field? Out of the 68 Power 4 teams, Nebraska's dead last, 68th in my win conversion, looking at recruiting versus wins. And part of that is due to Mike Riley. Part of that's due to Scott Frost. It's kind of a lagging multi-year metric I have, but still, you want to see Matt Rule start to flip that script this year. I think they will. After all that, I just stacked it up against them. I think they will this year because they have a 5-star quarterback in his second season. They're veteran at certain spots that are important, and they helped him out from the portal, bringing in 2 starters on the offensive line and 2 starters at receiver. So I think they're going to make a big improvement here. We saw Rule do this at Baylor and at Temple. I think you get that boost here in year 3.
I think thinks he's pretty good is that he won't return my damn text right now. He's all puckered up. He's got, they feel like, the expect. By the way, in the last 10 years, I'm a Nebraska guy. We got a helmet behind Paul in the background, but the last 10 years have been as excruciating, if not more so, than the 40 years in which they had that incredible run of winning 9+ games and national titles. In 10 years, they've torn 40 years of greatness out of my heart.
You know why, Brett? It's because they're doing the thing that is the biggest. And look, they've been bad, but they've been mediocre bad. Like they haven't committed to just sucking. And I think that's the biggest crime that any sports team can do is be mediocre.
Like the Cowboys sometimes?
Be good. Or the Cowboys for the last 30 years.
Well, they've been good. They just haven't been great. Yeah.
Like be title worthy and compete at that level or just be bad. Right, Brett? That's human decency.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was out in Lincoln for the Nebraska-Colorado game last September, and when Tommy Hill picked off Shadur Sanders and took it back to the house, you could almost feel a decade's worth of nightmares and frustration just exercised from that stadium. It was the loudest I've ever heard a stadium, and I think that moment was pretty special. They stormed the field probably the first time in school history. I'd never seen that in my life, so that was a special moment, and hopefully they can continue to build on that and get this thing back where it was, like you mentioned, the last several generations of college football.
Brett, I got to tell you, when Tommy Hill did that, I hadn't seen that in so long. I squealed like a 7-year-old. I did. I mean, I remember. I'm not so sure I didn't like mess my pants up. I haven't seen them make a play like that since Ndamukong Suh back in 2009. And there's a couple other teams that were pretty decent.
Brett, I want to ask you your thoughts on A&M real quick. Is Mike Elko the best coach for them because he's a little boring? They were trying for years to sell themselves as like this, they're trying to be somebody that they weren't. Hey, like Kevin Sumlin, swag copter, and, this is thing. But if you go to College Station, Texas, and look, I love it. My dad was born in Bryan, and my whole family, like his whole side of the family's from there. It's a wonderful place, but it's not Austin. It's not Miami. It's not some of these other places. It is a college town, a massive college, but it's kind of drab. Like that's their thing. Do they need a guy who can maybe matches the personality of what that place is?
Yeah, I could definitely see it. It's worth a shot after a couple coaches going the opposite way. And I think with Elko, you're just going to get quiet results. I mean, you see that when he was at Duke and when he was a coordinator here. It might not have all the flash and all the headlines, but it's going to be solid football. You saw a little bit of a turnaround last year. And, against Texas, I know the score was close. They were pretty out physical there. And, I think that they were still a year away from the breakthrough. But nonetheless, with all that said, he got them to the final weekend of the year with a play-in game for the SEC title game. That hadn't happened in a very long time, if not ever, for their SEC era. So even in the transition year, it was competitive, solid football. I think you see a second-year boost here. But yeah, you're right. Maybe a little change of mentality could help, and just get back to brass tacks and, block and tackle, and the recruiting will still be there, because nowadays it's more money than ever. It's more NIL and money based than before this little change in the recruiting structure. So yeah, they're going to benefit there. They have a really strong booster group and fan base, and so I think they're going to stay a powerhouse here. And this might be the breakthrough season because of that. Schedule's favorable. They're veteran. So yeah, I like the hire. I like where they're trending.
Brett, with all the work you put into this book, and again, I mentioned #1 most accurate Power 4 preview since 2012, and I put that up on Twitter too as a great guest segment. What do you do once the season begins? How do you have a chance just to digest it, enjoy it, or are you still that mind of yours still like going like the Matrix or some sort of algorithm?
Exactly. Well, once the season kicks off, that's just more games to watch, more data to analyze, right? And yeah, what I do in the fall on Saturdays, I have my 4 TVs going really from noon till 1 or 2 a.m., finishing up on the West Coast. I try and absorb as much as I can live. Really love it. Like we said, every game matters. And then on Sunday, Monday, I'm running my formulas, running my numbers, and then releasing my weekly feature. It's called Pick 6 Plus. Basically, it's all the stats in the book, all the data, all the betting trends, everything you could think of, but refreshed each week. So that's my solution to try. It's like drinking from a fire hose once the season kicks off. But getting it into one feature like that, my Pick 6 Plus, that helps everybody stay on pace each week. Some radio, some writing throughout the week, but then it's back to Saturday again. So it's a sprint. It's a 3-month sprint once the season kicks off, but I love it. It's the best time of year.
Enjoy it. Thank you very much. Great book. And we've had you before. Another great segment. We'll try to, if you're available, continue to have you on occasionally just to kind of check in. Pick 6 previews. This baby. I love the way the spiral, the back of it.
It looks
and
very
it's got
official.
That soft, but it's also very, very durable.
Again, it looks official. It looks as if you've turned in a dissertation to us. And I think that makes us all feel smarter.
Yeah,
Brett.
It is.
As
there you
opposed
go. That's
to
the goal.
just a like a shiny thing with pictures. Which
great
mostly
job.
a lot of us need.
Lots of information, but not overkill. We appreciate it. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me anytime.
Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews with us on 365 Sports. Seriously, in this day and age where magazines are still important. You used to, that's when you knew football season was around the corner. You go into a grocery store or a bookstore and you started to see the magazines. This one here, the way it's built, the way it's put together, and the way that he does break down every program in the Power 4 plus Notre Dame is fantastic.
If I could, the internet's been great for many things, and it's been bad for others. If I could go back in time, I would tell newspapers and magazines the only stuff you should put online is stuff that you can't fit on paper. Don't ever the online thing should be subscribed so you can get the paper, and all the other information will not be there. I know that's antithetical and counterintuitive to a lot of things, but it's one of the large part that print media is dead now.
I go by a convenience store, stop in, get a cold Diet Coke or maybe even a Monster, get my ticket, because the damn gas stations, convenience stores, whenever you print a ticket, 9 times out of 10, they don't have paper. You got to go in and get a pic. I keep my receipts.
Do you remember
I glance at the front page of the Dallas and also what is the Waco paper, and I got to tell you, rarely do. I'm sorry, but I don't.
Do you remember the relaxation, though, that came with getting your paper in the morning and sitting down and having to read it?
Yeah.
It relaxes you. It allows you to take things in.
When I started
with me.
When I started talk radio in 1990, I'd take the local Dallas Morning News and I'd sit there and I'd clip and copy, because I'm a tree killer. And that's what I have some of my headlines and also topics. When we come back, Patrick Crakes, can't wait to talk to him. It's been too long. Consultant, media executive, soldier, and more. Crakes Media. He's next. This is 365 Sports.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
I always say this when Patrick Crakes comes on with us and others we've had who are part, Bob Thompson, Jim Williams. We were lucky. I don't know about lucky because that was when college football realignment was going on and conferences and all that stuff, but getting to know this guy right here, Patrick Crakes, is a huge deal, and he joins us on 365 Sports. It's been too long. Boy, that's a good-looking background. Is that just hedges behind you and a fence or what? Where are you? Looks like you're in a cathedral or something. You're getting ready to, like, do a service.
Exactly. No, I'm in my home in Ohio today, and it's been lovely. It's been about 78 degrees for 4 or 5 days after we went through a brutal 3 weeks of 90% humidity and 90 degrees. So I've been getting outside as much as I can, and when I can, I do calls out here in our covered porch. It's
beautiful.
Nice.
It's a beautiful background. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
So what did we have go bouncing around a little bit? But what did that NFL Network ESPN deal mean, Patrick? Is that a surprise? And what does that actually mean in the end?
Well, I think it means that there's absolutely 100% certainty that over the next 5 years, one of the winners or survivors of all this is going to be ESPN and Disney. The NFL has actually been trying to get rid of NFL Network for a long time, or trying to find investors or find a way to get out of operating a full-fledged media company. I was a part of a semi-serious and then a very serious effort during the second iteration of the Thursday Night Football deals to invest or acquire or get to use NFL Network for us right after we launched Fox Sports 1. We couldn't figure it out, but we were really serious because we wanted access to the Culver studio space at that time. They're down at SoFi Stadium now, but so the league has been trying to find a way to get out of operating, right, and become more an owner and investor. The interesting thing about this deal was, I think if it had been done 5 or 6 years ago, some cash would have come their way. They're taking a pure equity stake, but basically for allowing ESPN to operate NFL Network for an undefined term, ESPN's going to get an investment that today is probably worth, $2.5 billion, right? And in 5 or 6 years, what is that worth more than that? But because remember, ESPN can take the NFL can take these rights back. They can take back operating NFL Network. By that time, it may not matter. And keep in mind that, 95% of the value in this deal are these 6 to 7 NFL games. That's the 100% of the value of this, and ESPN will now be able to lever it. So they've gotten something, I think, that reflects their unique distribution mix, and reflects their kind of potential in the digital side that really none of the other NFL partners could have quite offered what ESPN can, and they've done a good job of consolidating that and getting this asset.
Now, I know that they just made a deal with YouTube TV, but I would say that when that comes up again, this positions ESPN Disney for a nice little run at that if they threw that all on this gigantic ESPN app after they've had a good, 7-8 years of run to figure out how it works.
Yeah, look, 100% of the NFL Network assets will be leverable in pay TV distribution conversations. Pay TV still has 65 million homes in it. It still pays a majority of the bills in media. For sports, it's become more relevant, not less, despite the fractionalization. Nielsen's ability to measure out-of-home measurement of live games is significant. Content discovery is much easier inside the pay TV bundle. So ESPN already had a collection of assets that were probably crucial. I mean, all pay TV distributors need to keep these ESPN assets inside this system while we figure out a way to integrate digital assets into it as well through broadband, which Charter and DirecTV are figuring out how to do. They're going to offer Flagship and Peacock and all these other things from the big media companies inside their apps. They're going to get ESPN Disney will be able to lever NFL Network and those 6-7 incremental games alongside all the other assets. So whatever happens to the pay TV bundle over the next 5 years goes below 50 million, it's still going to have an awful lot of subscribers in it. And the way subscribers watch pay TV is very different than the way they watch streaming. It's interesting, the streamers are not very profitable aside from Netflix, right? Having 70 to 100 million subscribers, but a pay TV bundle with 65 million subscribers can pay 85% of the bills because the TV usage inside it is 60% of the subscribers as opposed to 15% for streaming. So even when the pay TV bundle goes backwards, keeps going backwards, it's in secular decline, below 50 million homes, the amount of homes using it regularly will still be higher than streaming. And because of that, they're going to be able to continue to produce a lot of viewing and a lot of value, especially if the pay TV bundle continues evolving into a live sports distribution platform.
I don't know if this makes sense, but do they just have more money than God? Because you hear about how they also have bled to death at times. Because are they anywhere close to where there's a concern that that ESPN is a monopoly?
I don't think so. I mean, take a look at this deal. This deal is basically ESPN is a $250 billion asset or something like, or whatever it is, and this deal is worth about $2.53 billion. ESPN is just taking 10% of this company, right? So it's hard to say they're a monopoly when basically this is a lease agreement,
right?
But the NFL part of it is permanent. The ESPN Disney part of it is not permanent. So it's hard for me to say that as somebody who has a strong economics background and uses economics a lot. The big thing when I first heard about this, the first way it was pitched to me was, well, and the NFL will guarantee some kind of long-term sweetheart deal for the games, these 6 or 7 games to ESPN. I thought to myself, well, I can't see the league ever doing that because that would attrit their wholesale transfer pricing power. Basically, they control, they can price these things whatever they want. They just figure out how much ESPN actually makes and take what the value is. They can kind of control what ESPN makes on these games, and they'll attrit the profit margin. I can't see ever doing that. There's very few things that have that power. Music, certain live sports like the NFL in particular. That's not what this is. The league can get rid of these games is my understanding. It's still evolving, right? And we got 9 months and the government's going to get a pass at this, and that's always a big hoot. And we'll see what happens. But it's hard to call it a monopoly when they're taking 10%. You got to give up 10% of your company to rent games for 6-7 years.
Patrick, how do you think the college football rights are going to morph because of this massive direct-to-consumer app that they are consuming? You mentioned that they're set up either way, whether it's linear and all that, and most people are still going to be linear, and whatever linear means, every single year as it changes, but most people are still going to sign up for a Hulu or YouTube TV or Comcast or whatever and do it. But what does it mean for college football rights as they implement this massive direct-to-consumer thing and then have a red zone and have these things that are going to be test cases for everything else that they can grab and do in the future?
You're talking about ESPN in particular?
Yeah.
Look, I think ESPN, Saturday college football benefits from pay TV content discovery. College football is very fractionalized. ESPN has a critical mass of it, right? They're the number one college football provider. So much so that ESPN, to keep Fox to keep their pregame show kind of working correctly has to make some big changes creatively, right? Because now ESPN has a full suite of SEC games and can program that 12 to 3 p.m. window, which they couldn't in the past. They have lots of ability to create ways for folks to get content, but some of what ESPN does is incomplete unless you have the other events, which are fractionalized across all sports, across multiple partnerships. And quite frankly, it's getting more fractionalized, not less. I mean, the NBA deal added another partner, right? And it added a partner with two, an old but new distribution platform and broadcast, and a new platform in Peacock. So ESPN has the power to collate and drive audiences in certain directions, and they certainly have the power to be relevant outside of the live games as well. And not a lot of media companies have that, but ESPN does. They have that because they're there 24/7 for you. But at the same time, the sports media marketplace is just fractionalized all over the place. And it's not like entertainment content where Netflix can go out and invest, $50 billion and create a bunch of high quality comedy shows. I mean, there's only one Big Ten conference. There's only one SEC conference. Those games can only be spread so many different places. So ESPN is number one, clearly, but they're not. And when it comes to sports, it's a more complicated equation because nobody can unify all the content in one place, and they're not going to be able to.
Patrick, tell me who I am. First of all, I'm 66 years old. Paul knows and Garrett knows, Craig's off this week, that I am technologically challenged, although I'm getting better. But I need to bring this up for a reason. Back when Alabama and Texas opened up the season, I think the game was in Austin. I got YouTube TV. My future son-in-law said, hey, you're going to need it. This is a great thing now, what they're doing. And it was like $69 or $59 or whatever it was a month. Stay with me for a second. I got the game. I got YouTube TV. Do you know I have not watched a Sports Center in probably 3 to 4 years?
Right.
I do watch ESPN if it's on YouTube TV, if it's something that's popping up. I don't watch cable TV much anymore, although I have a great deal with Spectrum. Who have I become? And am I the guy that they like or the one that they're scared to death of?
So first of all, well, look, David, first of all, speaking as an 89-year-old, I'll turn 89 here. And because it's not the years, guys, it's the mileage.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, yeah, you're right.
But look, David, yes, you're 66, but people are living viably longer than ever.
That's
and
right.
All the economic wealth is in your hands. So It's kind of interesting. We've moved away. It used to be that you needed to really impact young people for brand positioning. We all learned this. If you take a freshman microeconomics course, you learn about the theory of the household where, you're single, then you get married and you start borrowing money to buy a house and washing machines, and then you go off into retirement. That's all blown up now. The capital spending of households across the lifespan of a household and a person is now it's stretched out much further. So you're valuable, right? Everybody's valuable. The young people remain more valuable because they're scarce. And you think about when it comes to what creates value, it's scarcity, right? So women watch more media and consume more media, watch more television than men. So men are more valuable. Young men always have less TV than everyone else. They do other things, and that's still the case, right? So that's where your young case comes in. There's less media watching by young people, but it tends to be more female across all the age cohorts. And then young men are they watch the least and consume the least, in particular of long form engaging video, right? They play video games, they do other things, so they have value. But you have value too. Trust me, you really do. And when I think about YouTube TV, I think one of the big confusions is understanding just what a package of pay TV channels are.
Right.
People think when they move from a Comcast with a fixed wire line into the house, right, and they go over to YouTube TV, they somehow cut the cord. They haven't cut any cord. They've spread the cord. YouTube TV is a pay TV distributor. Those channels have the same pricing approximately as the channels inside the old, a DirecTV DBS satellite. That is the same package of linear channels. And Paul, you referenced linear, whatever it is. Linear is just a programming strategy. Yeah. It's emerged as kind of a way to say old or established system versus new system. It's kind of bad. We got to get away from that. And if you look at linear programming techniques on the digital side, on the streaming side, they're starting to be adopted en masse by the established streamers. I mean, they are now. Last night, my wife was watching The Gilded Age. I walked in, I laughed at it for about 10 minutes and got slugged in the arm. And then right after the end of it, the Billy Joel documentary showed up, right? It's like, that's an old linear television programming trick where you put your most valuable content behind your biggest show, right? The content you want to watch behind it. So what I think the future looks like, guys, is a lot like the past. And I've been saying this for a while. You got to have bundling. You've got to have techniques that bring people in live and also enable them to use the wonders of being able to be their own programmers together. For too long, all these systems were viewed as zero sum against each other, right? Old versus new. And that was because it served the narrative of Wall Street and some excited people in the media, quite frankly, about, where all the money gets up on one side, walks and goes to the other really quickly. None of that's happened. This transition has happened fast, but the value creation part of it has been a mess, aside for Netflix. And sports is caught up in it now. And that's why you're going to hear with this, we'll use the NBA deal as an example again, you're going to have a lot of complaints about finding content with the new NBA deal, even though you can find it. It's not rocket science, but people just don't want to spend that much time doing it. I mean, they're ordinary people. I'm not talking about you and I and the other big sports fans or big entertainment content fans. It's hard to find content for them because they're living their lives and they're coming to this to relax. They're coming to it to enjoy things. They don't want to spend 25 minutes figuring out what to watch where. So you're going to hear a lot of complaints about it. And that's why NBC decided to launch a sports tier channel that's complementary to Peacock. So these systems need to work together, David, and so do all the audiences inside it, because mass aggregation of audience has more value to the most important brands and are very, very crucial in distribution pricing. And so the future looks a lot more like the past. And you have great value because of that, David. All the demographics do, but you've got to get them to coalesce.
Yeah. See, Garrett and Paul, what he said, I have great value.
Yeah.
I've watched 2 Rangers games because of the way things have changed on regional television.
That's I was actually just about to ask him about that. I'll just criticize you, Smokey. I don't have a deal with Spectrum or Comcast or any of those other ones because I prefer more bespoke, mom and pop options like Hulu and YouTube TV, who are owned by these small companies. You may have heard of them, Disney and Google. They're very slow. They're run on Steam, and they're very green.
Google and Apple are like they're so like typewriters.
Yeah, they're huge. They're huge. Okay, how can all the media, like the NFL, they're fine with their distribution. They've thought out every little single plan. The NBA might be a little trickier to find, like you said. Major League Baseball is in an absolute crisis right now, at least for a huge baseball fan, in that I would just like to sit down and turn on and watch a baseball game in my local market, and it's impossible to do that now.
Yeah.
And figure out how to do it. It's all over the place. You have to get an app just for baseball for the season, which I don't think creates a lot of value, because once baseball season's over, what am I watching on that?
Yeah, I mean, baseball is very fractionalized. It's important to understand that prior to 2000, right? The year 2000, not every sporting event was available in one place in the pay TV bundle. About 2000, we get the last of the local games rolled up into regional sports networks. And suddenly, the pay TV bundles in 95% of all US TV homes. And we go on about a 12-year march where everybody's got all the content in one place for one price on one system. And its content discovery mechanism is a channel system guide system. Now, everybody complained about that incessantly. Everybody hated that. Everybody didn't like it. But the bottom line is that it actually had a lot of utility to it, which is why it went to 95%. And it was able to draft off of some natural monopoly principles because of local regulation and the inefficiency of wiring multiple things into a house. And that was able to throw off all these profits that built the entire media business for the past 15 years. That's all been kind of blown up by the ability of people to kind of go outside the system to digital and acquire content, get their own content. Everybody wasn't forced to pay for everybody's content in the pay TV bundle. They were unleashed. And now to get everything back together is very complicated. So baseball's caught up in this. They have the most inventory of any of the big leagues, 162 regular season games. Regional sports networks are hothouse flowers of pay TV. They over-earned on the way up, and they've been struggling on the way down. But please notice that these games are still available. They're just kind of all over the place. And even with most of your RSN teams, the NHLs, the NBAs, and the Major League Baseballs, as you talked about, Paul, they are still mostly available on regional sports networks. Now, some RSNs they've had their rights fees cut, but think about these games, right? Think about over-earning with pay TV. Think about some of these local games not even being available on television. And it's going to be frustrating, my final answer on this to you, Paul, but as we're leaving the on-demand era, we're entering into something I call the choice era. And the choice era involves one thing: choosing. Everyone used to the normal TV experience, since it was involved, video experience in the home, since it was invented in the late 40s, or the technology enabled it, has been to not get all the content. To only get the content that either was offered you by other people choosing, like me in the past, right, and other TV executives, or you're going to choose not to buy all of it, or you're not going to be able to find it. Now, we do need tools that help us with content discovery. I think rebundling on the digital side, which has been delayed and has begun to start, will help that. Right? It'll be easier. There'll be ways for you to get these things. There'll be ways to bundle it together so you can save some money. We're not going to have 150 streaming channel wonderland that some people dreamed up 6 or 7 years ago, with everybody paying $20 a month for every sports, single kind of package. But the big thing is you're just going to have to choose about whether you want all the sports or not all the sports, because it's going to get priced that way to get all of it. Most of general market will not take most of the sports, which is why ESPN is in a great place. ESPN's in a great place because they have the biggest sports of the sports that matter most. What are they doing here? They're offering up 10% of their company to get involved deeper with the content that matters the most, the NFL. What else are they doing? Yeah, they're the number one and the second most important content, college football. Right? And they've let other things go, or they've let other things kind of decide to leave or do new deals, like the UFC, Formula One, Top Rank, because they're taking the economics they save from that and reinvesting in these other things that over-index with viewers: NFL, college football, NBA, right? And the other networks are following that too, if you look at it. So, but when it comes to seeing every baseball game, it's going to get harder to see every baseball game, and it's going to be priced accordingly. And that price will be higher than what you're used to in the past, and you may have to buy it a la carte. It's a mess right now. I totally get it, Paul. Content discovery is a problem. Somebody will come and lecture me, I'm sure, on the feed and talk about it's not that hard. You just set it up. I'm telling you, the average person doesn't want to do that, even if they're a fan. But the good news is, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a lot of change. Rebundling will be part of that. So when mergers and acquisitions and alliances, it will make content discovery easy, but it will be priced in a way that if you want everything, it's going to be expensive. So I
wonder, excuse me, I wonder if I don't watch the Rangers now because I was just so like.
It used to be you turned on channel 26.
Yeah, it was like there. And
Boom,
sometimes it was like background. Like a lot of things now is with what I do when I'm home working or whatever. A lot of it's background video and not really even have the setup. But I wonder if I just stopped as much because I had that moment where I wanted to lay down and smoke a cigarette after they won a World Series, and I don't smoke cigarettes, but also because I just have other things that have caught my attention. Netflix is unfreaking believable. I watch probably more Netflix now, Patrick, than anything else. Other than I watch Jamie Oliver and Bobby Flay and Diners, Drive-Ins, and all that. But Netflix is stupid good, isn't it?
Yeah, look, Netflix is the one streaming service that actually works from a business model perspective on a standalone basis, and that has a lot to do with how it was created. Right, it launched with a content library of a lot of stuff at a very low price on the backs of one of the most one of the most successful subscription mail order businesses in the history of the country, which they auto-enrolled everyone into the digital service. So that's not replicable. Their first mover advantage is strategically significant. And the way they serve content makes it easy for content discovery in some ways. So there's certainly examples of people who will go on there and spend 50 minutes looking for something, then end up watching nothing, which is a problem.
Right.
Which is why they want to get into live sports. I mean, Netflix is, the amount of minutes consumed on Netflix as a percentage of all video minutes across all platforms is kind of flat. And streaming, one of the things that's a problem for streaming is it's not a very good business model for nearly everybody except Netflix. And Netflix isn't growing the way it used to. It's settling in, right, in the United States, which is by far its most important market, right? The most value is here. So one of the reasons why they're experimenting with bringing TikTokers over, while they're talking about getting more involved in sports, while they got those NFL games, is because they're starting to try to find ways to bring attention in and take advantage of the people who use them now as the first option, and see if they can't grab them in some way. But the problem's going to remain. The content that used to be curated again by executives like me into a 150 channel universe, right? And so you flipped around and you saw the Rangers. They were there. Content discovery was largely about flipping around and tripping over something.
Yep.
And you found it, right? And that was the comfortable way you do it. Now you've got to jump, and you jumped into one giant silo. Now you've got to jump into multiple different silos, in and out, and try to figure out what you want. Fixing that problem, right, can happen through, I think, mergers and acquisitions and technology, but it's never going to be the same, which is why I always tell my investor clients the margins and the economic system that built the modern media business today is not replicable, because that old pay TV bundles, natural monopoly margins aren't going to come back in any way. It can be a very profitable business again, but it won't ever look like it used to look. And that's something that's going to force people to choose. And when I say choose, the choice era, I'm not just talking about consumers. What am I going to watch? What kind of packages I'm going to have? And they're going to get more packages and ways to bundle. It's going to be great, and it's going to get easier. But you're not going to get everything. But it's also like, what kind of content are we going to offer as a platform? What kind of content are we going to invest in? How do we compete with the short form algorithm-based Facebooks, TikToks, Instagrams, which for a long time were complementary, but today increasingly look like they're competitive directly with us, especially for entertainment product. The good news for sports is I don't think it is, but I think they are a direct competitive threat now. They used to be complementary. And then YouTube itself, right? We're on YouTube right now, which has emerged as kind of its own thing. It's social, but long form programming is beginning to work on it. So I think that the choice era, it makes everything more complicated, and we take for granted how easy it was to find a Rangers game. Even though there were 150 channels, you hit each one of them, and then you found the Rangers organically. That's not coming back. You're going to have to commit to finding them. Though I think it will get easier, it'll never be the same.
Patrick Crake's with us, Crake's Media on 365 Sports. My last question, and Paul, I'm sure you do too, is ESPN. You mentioned all the things that they control, own, whatever, broadcast. The one thing I've always thought about them, they're the best I've ever seen at promoting themselves or promoting what they have, even if there might be another great game in college football. If they have it, and if they're there for game day or the 2:30 game and they'll mention the other game, but they're the best I've ever seen at that, almost to the point where it almost is, to me, over the line. Fox has no chance in college football, right? ESPN, the college playoff, Fox has games, and they have the Big Ten. But is there any chance Fox could ever catch ESPN and take over what ESPN has when it comes to the championships?
So, like, could Fox become a part of the college football championship eventually?
Well, yeah, because if they go to 16 and 24, God knows we never thought they'd even do more than 2. But would ESPN, they wouldn't let that happen, right? Because they seem to control, like they got both of them in their hands.
Yeah, look, it's going to be very interesting because the way Fox has its Big Ten rights, they steer a lot of that boat, and they're increasingly actively becoming an investor in sports media promotions. They did the IndyCar investment last week; it was announced. They've been working on that for a while, and ESPN the same way. You can view this NFL alignment as also an investment by ESPN answering that. Do I think that Fox can jawbone their way into the playoff? I think they absolutely can. The question is under what terms and how ESPN will play along with them. For a long time, when I was at Fox, ESPN and Fox, we, kind of arm's length cooperatively worked together to kind of corner the space, right? We weren't colluding with each other, but we kind of were going down the same road together, so we didn't interfere with each other. We just focused in on our own thing, and it worked out really well. Now they're really competing, but that doesn't mean there won't be a day again where they say, like, you know what, actually, we're so far ahead the road with everybody else. Let's just keep walking down this road and stop fighting with each other, and we'll roll up more value by just walking, right? And this brings us back to, what is a business for? Is it for to be number one, or is it to be profitable? I always go back to Coke and Pepsi. Coke and Pepsi are a duopoly. They're both enormously profitable. All Pepsi does is talk about Coke. Coke never talks about Pepsi, and the damn system works and everybody makes a lot of money. And at the end of the day, it's the media business and it's about making money. The answer to all your questions is money. And so I think they will find a way to get involved, but it will be in a way that works for ESPN as well. The real question is, will the NBCs and the CBSs be able to do that? They could theoretically as well, but it's much harder for them in the college football space than it is for them to enter in a big way. Their content that's worthwhile is totally dependent upon sub-licenses largely. And so I would think that at some point Fox and ESPN get back to just focusing in on their business and walking down the road together and leaving everybody else behind.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Love the backdrop. Always, your information is extraordinary. We appreciate it. Patrick, thanks for your time and have a great rest of the week.
Absolutely. And always remember, Smokey, don't undervalue yourself.
Well, when you have people beating you down mentally, that's daily.
That's great. No. Listen,
I mean, Craig's not here to beat me down, so it's just 2-on-1. I have a chance rather than 3-on-1.
Listen, we don't need to do it when Craig is here. That's just piling on.
Yeah, that's true.
I have the only person I know who's more scared of their son is, and people don't know, but Jerry Hill, who we need to have on the show to talk about Baylor one day because we love Jerry. But Jerry he has 2 sons. One of them who's very nice and wonderful. And then Jonathan, who who is a very scary person, and he loves it. You and Jerry should have a support group meeting for guys whose sons can put them in their place rapidly.
Yeah, Craig does. On the freaking show.
I've never seen either Jonathan or Craig do something I would call endearing to their father.
No, they don't.
But they don't hate you. They just know how they are the rules.
He does it, but he doesn't want anyone to know about it. That's
exactly.
He
wouldn't be called the Dragon anymore.
We have coming up former West Virginia fullback. I said this in the opening segment. I would think that when we get him on, he will know it's a compliment. He was Cam Scatterbo for West Virginia. A lot of good stuff to get to with him. We're going to have a former Big 12 player at a high level on every show this week and perhaps even in the next week too, including he's next, Owen Schmidt, former West Virginia fullback on 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 and Highway 6, just in Waco on the southern part. And they have some new incentives. In fact, I just received the new commercials for them for the month of August, including a 2024 Ram Crew Cab starting at just $43,990. That is available. Make this the summer event at Alan Samuels. Also, a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport, just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and the trails are calling for you. Wrap up your summer. Make this the summer event at Alan Samuels. And the 2024 Dodge Daytona Scat Pack or Jeep Wagoneer S Launch Edition. Right now, 0% financing for 72 months or $20,000 off MSRP. Ted Teague, General Manager and CEO, David Gray in charge of those who will help, well, maybe get the deal done for you and make sure you're happy when you drive off the dealership driveway and head home to whatever you're going to do. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com. This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
All right, I'm going to tell you this, and thanks to Patrick, Craig's Media, he's fantastic. I remember when Daniel, Jennifer's husband, Daniel Golden, my son-in-law, when he told me about that Alabama game against Texas, remember at DK, our Royal Memorial Stadium, and that game was only, I could only watch it if I got whatever it was YouTube TV. So I was like, $59, $69, $79. I think now it's close to like 80 something. I knew it'd go up. But when I get home, I turn on my smartphone flat screen TV, Paul. You ever heard of a smart TV?
Yeah, I know.
I turned that on.
You used to have a dumb TV.
I used to have.
That's what they were. They called them smart TV. Well, they never called the other TVs dumb.
No.
But by calling it a smart TV,
yes,
you are like retroactively calling the other ones dumb.
I now know, and I turn it on, and of course you have these layers, and I know that you have. But I'm telling you, man, I go straight to YouTube TV, and there's not 140. There might be. There's like 6 or it's almost like they know what I'm going to watch, which makes me nervous. It's like our phone. They know where we're going and all that other stuff. But I watch cooking channels. I stare at, what is it? Naked Below Zero and watch that show.
Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, that one too. Or Below. I know. I don't do that one. And I do watch a lot of sports. But it's kind of like in a different way now. It's just I've changed a little bit when it comes to how I consume it. I don't know why, but I do. But I watch Netflix. I think I've watched more movies and series in the last 6 months than I have in maybe the last 20 years.
I'm glad that you're like into the current zeitgeist.
I'm watching Day Zero.
Oh, I keep wanting to watch
Zero
that.
Day.
Yeah, with De Niro.
Yeah, Robert De Niro. But he's I know Hall of Fame actor, but I'm watching that and I'm okay with it. It's got to if they don't that other one you told me about Untamed.
It's slow. It's slower.
I mean it's slower. I'm out.
I liked it. It was good.
I'll never go watch it.
I liked it. I like Eric Bana quite a bit, but
I don't like it.
I'll tell you.
I don't like the show.
I'll tell you.
It's a terrible series.
De Niro is a Hall of Fame actor, but he has had some stops along the way where it's somewhat forgettable. But he's still like. He's never been.
Can I answer this phone on the air? Let me call this on the air.
Yeah, sure.
Let me ask him if I can. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's got some Hall of Fame. He's got Hall of Fame credentials. He's never bad in a movie. The movies are just bad around him. Does that make sense, Garrett?
Yes, it does.
It's kind of like he's a great player on a bad team sometimes.
Right. He gets caught up.
Yeah, he gets in there. So I'm trying to think he's like Archie Manning.
Oh, well, that's a deep pull. I like that.
Yeah, he's like Archie. I will say, okay, here's the comparison. You're just talking to
Owen Schmidt's going to log on right now,
okay.
Garrett.
Archie Manning was a great player on a bad team in the NFL, or a good player on a bad team when he was with the Saints.
Yes.
Very good player, but the team around him was bad.
He wasn't Ernie Banks because the Cubs were
Ernie Banks
decent,
Banks is that's what Robert De Niro has these great roles, great roles. And then he has other ones that are just kind of there, but he's never bad in them. Like, that you're getting De Niro at full strength.
No, yeah.
But if everybody around him isn't up to De Niro, then you're just going to have
no. But this, what is it called? Zero Day?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And it's got a lot of current America weaved into the series. So I just that's what I do. I'm telling you, that's what I do. But he is a different human being. But as far as this series, I've enjoyed it so far so far. I don't even know how many more episodes are left. If I get on a series and it's more than like 3 or 4 episodes and more than 1 or 2 seasons, I can't do it. I don't have enough attention to be able to do that. Did you see him?
I'm still waiting for him to jump in.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm hopefully.
Well, just throw up the GM thing, Garrett.
Yeah. Okay. So there were a couple of dozen general managers, college football general managers, who had a meeting. There was a Players Association closed door meeting, 23 Power 4 GMs on Sunday in Nashville. All 23 support a collective bargaining model, removing a portal window during the season, and support performance-based incentives.
Yeah.
Seems to make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So I have some quotes on a Brandon Marcello article here. I closed it, but hold on. I will get him right now. There we go. And this was my favorite one. Oh, no, hold on. Midwinter did a better job of taking it apart. But so
what are you doing?
I'm trying to find this thing I closed
the story?
out. Yeah, no, the look.
I just read the story.
Yeah, okay, but the quote from Danny White, who is the athletic director at Tennessee, who wants this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's only 2 ways to avoid more antitrust lawsuits: congressional intervention or complying with the law. there's a pathway by which we can comply with the law. It's called collective bargaining. And this is starting to seep through more and more ADs and more. If you're a Power 4 GM, you desperately, like, collective bargaining makes your job so much easier. So much easier, because when you go to work up a contract, you basically have a file on your computer that is, here's the contract with everything built in. And then you go, for example, when the Cowboys eventually end this little tete-a-tete with Micah Parsons, the contract, like, they don't have to start at Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. That's all there.
Yeah.
They just go, okay, Mike is going to get a $227 million contract. $190 million is going to be guaranteed. He's going to have these perks and this perks, and these are going to be the incentives,
roster bonuses,
and all that. And that's all stuff that's in there, and they just fill in the numbers and the different things.
No, they're not going to do that to Paul, because he's not going to ever talk Jerry to the agent.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So
how is he not being fined for circumventing the collective bargaining agreement?
Jerry?
Jerry.
Yeah.
How is he not being fined by not talking? You cannot. That's a deal. There's a reason why the NFLPA and the owners have this contract.
I'm sure that he's operating in a gray area.
Just call him, Garrett. Just call him and see if we can get him on as a phone. I'm not sure.
So
he should be getting fined like they want to fine players. He is circumventing. Like he's just being a dick about how he's treating.
And here's the weird thing about Micah. Micah feels that he had this conversation, and he's
loading up StreamYard. Garrett, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's had this conversation. He knows what it is. And here's the deal. He wants his agent to look at it because that's what his agent pays him for. You don't think David Mulgeta knows what it's going to be, and he's going to work out the stuff that's supposed to work out?
Yeah.
Jerry and Steven, we always leave out Steven. Jerry and Steven not responding to the agent is just stupid. Like, this has reached
arrogant.
It's arrogant.
Absolutely,
it's arrogant, and it has reached peak craziness. And there's a lot of holdouts that they've had over the years.
Yeah.
A lot of this holdouts, hold-ins, whatever. But this will go back because of the way you can see the players going like, what are we doing here? Because a lot of them have been through it, but also because it's Micah and because he's so valuable and because he's the best at what he does, it is going to be it's almost exactly like Emmitt Smith, in that you guys thought that like everything was, you could just do it.
And Mike is very emotional.
Yeah. Emmitt wasn't nearly as loud. He just sat there. It's like, I'm not going to play until you sign the deal that I want.
Yep.
And there might not be a Charles Haley there to slam a helmet against the wall and shatter it, but the players are going to collectively do that, and they're going to be mad. And you're hurting the team before the season.
Did Emmitt get what he was wanted to get?
He did.
Yeah. Did CD?
Yeah.
Did Dak?
Yeah.
Did all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
it's going to happen.
What have they won?
We're not
the Cowboys.
They love the attention. I swear, Jerry loves this, knowing in the end, although this has gotten a little bit personal between he and Micah, Micah's going to get his money, and then they're going to handshake and hug and all that other stuff. And Cowboys fans will be just twisting in the wind. We're now joined by former West Virginia fullback star Owen Schmidt joins us on 365 Sports. Thank you, buddy. How you doing, sir? Are you there? Can you hear us, Garrett?
Can you hear us, Owen?
Let's see if you got him. We can hear you. Are you there, Owen? Now, Garrett, just call him.
Just call him.
Yeah, just call him. Sorry about that. We will get Owen Schmidt on with us and looking forward to it. So, but they're gonna get it. He's not going to break Micah. Micah's not going to break Dallas. And I would love, just so it would be different, for him to literally get traded, to literally stay out. He's not going to start losing game checks, but maybe he's stubborn enough to be able to do that, because in the end, he's going to, the other thing he's missing, he's at camp.
He's at camp.
He's not getting fined because he's at camp.
Yeah.
Do you know, because this is his rookie deal, that if he missed days, they, in the end, cannot fine him $50,000 because this is the rookie deal. That's part of the collective bargaining agreement.
But he's he's done everything that he should have done along the way, and even went through the workouts and all those other things that CD and those guys didn't do. So he's been negotiating in good faith, and they will not talk
But
to
he
his
never
agent.
should have talked to Jerry personally by himself.
No, that was a mistake.
That was a mistake.
But it's still dumb for Jerry to think that that's binding.
We're now joined by former West Virginia fullback Owen Schmidt. He joins us on 365 Sports. And Owen, thank you very much for your time. I compared you at the start of the show when we teased that we'd have you on the show, that you were West Virginia's version of Cam Scatteraboo. Is that a compliment?
No, I mean, hey, he's a hard-nosed ball player. I absolutely think it's a compliment.
Owen, I'm not going to ever say we're a fullback. I told this to Kalani Sataki. You are a fullback. You're part of a fraternity that sadly has fewer members now because of the way offenses have changed. What could bring about the return of the fullback in these new offenses?
Well, I think, the focus on the game has been a lot of speed, obviously. So players' numbers as far as, linebackers, secondary, more speed guys, right? So they're a little bit lighter in the rear end. And I think that's where you're going to see, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to see, you're going to start to see these big guys kind of emerge, just sheer fact on just bringing the physicality back to the game, I think.
Yeah, there's no question. And in the end, fullbacks protect the tailback, running backs, I-backs, whatever, one-backs. And also they protect the quarterback as well. When you were younger, learning how to play the game, was that like just an automatic for you? Or did you at one point play offensive line? Were you a wide receiver? Where were you when you played either Pop Warner or youth football?
Yeah, so long story short, my grandfather, Dwayne Jensen, was a coach for 36 years in Gilman, Wisconsin. So I was around football, my entire life. And early on, they got a hold of us, and we were living with them. They were raising us, and being a coach is anything. Is you understand the hours and the dedication. So learn that from an early thing. But yeah, he when I came of age to be able to play, he was like, look, the first thing you're going to be able to do is go to lineman camp, because the key fundamental of the game is to learn how to block. And that's what you need to learn first. So if you want to play, you got to learn the game the right way. And that's kind of just where the inspiration's gone. And then I feel like athleticism through the weight room really progressed me to another level at some point as well too.
Was there a time when you hated weights, or was that just something that eventually just morphed into loving weights? Because I know you also won some competitions, were honored for things that you did.
Yeah, I in high school, when I transitioned to a personal trainer off season is where I saw the biggest gains. And Kevin at Game Speed was that was kind of we had a crew of a bunch of D1 guys, and then I was kind of the misfit of the bunch, and we all trained together, and absolutely, I knew that's what was going to take me to the next level, because that senior year going into high school, I was a completely different animal on the field.
Owen, Rich Rod's back. We talked to him at Big 12 Media Days, and he's a character. What kind of, just before we get into on the field stuff, his personality, the things that the fans all loved about him, what does that do for the fan base, there in West Virginia, Morgantown, to light the fire again? Because they'd kind of grown frustrated and maybe a little bit bored based on their previous standards.
Yeah, I think, the fans are going to get what they're paying for. They're going to get a program that is everything that embodies their mantra of hard edge. They're going to be the best conditioned. They're going to be the most disciplined. They're going to be the biggest, fastest, strongest. That's their mentality, and they're going to be coached to a level that is going to take an average or above average young man and turn him into a monster on the field. So they play with a lot of aggression, a lot of physicality, but within the rules of the game. And I think that's what the fan is going to get, and that's what we're going to get to see. And I think we've seen that before, and that's what they've been missing for a long time now.
Oh, and how many face masks did you break when you played college football?
There was a few. I think it was in double digits.
Did you break others, or did yours break because you were breaking others?
You know what? Who knows? At that point in time, rules were different. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. Okay, now here's one of the things that I find interesting in the targeting rule, which is when you use the crowd of the helmet, you know all that. And it was to try to keep from catastrophic injuries. But offensive players, does it piss you off that I've only seen like one offensive targeting call against somebody? I think it was an Oklahoma fullback, and you guys don't get credit, or that position doesn't get enough credit for targeting?
I don't know. I mean, as far as, it's a physical position. I mean, you're probably not going to see it as much. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, like, for example, there's no way that fullbacks don't make contact with a linebacker in the gap or maybe somebody on the edge or whatever without using the crown of their helmet almost every single time. You hope that no one ever gets hurt. But targeting seemed like the offensive players don't get hit with it enough, which I get it. I understand it. I've seen one player, I think, in my lifetime, since targeting became a thing, that got hit with a penalty was an Oklahoma, I think a fullback at Oklahoma, that got hit with an offensive targeting call. But isn't that something that you have to do when you're a fullback?
Oh, yeah. If you want to get any piece, you got to take a man down the middle. I mean, I know that's an old school methodology too. You know what I mean? I'm trying to split a guy in half. There are times, you know what I mean? There are times where you're trying to kick out and stuff like that and use, leverage. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, that's the way we were taught when we were kids. You see the triangle, you hit the triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And you should always see what you hit. So, the old school method for us was if you hit a man under his chin, if you can see his chin when you hit him, you've won the leverage battle.
Yep, absolutely.
Owen, what do you think we're going to see on the field from West Virginia this year? There's going to be some growing pains because they have, 50 new guys on the roster, and you can't just gel that together. But as far as picking up the system, which will be similar but different to what they've been running, Nico's been in game, so he's not stepping in to his first start and being intimidated. So that's all good. But what do you think we'll see from them throughout the season in a very tough and close Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Jed Drenning, on our In the Gun podcast, and we were really discussing, how do you mesh as a team that quickly? And, Rod's scheme is, physical. It is fast. It is a condition-based deal, and they take advantage of that. But is the O-line going to get it, right? Are they going to mesh on that zone scheme and be able to perform these, second and third level blocks that they need to do to be able to open these holes for Jaheim White? And then on that aspect, will Jaheim pick this up? Because offensively being, running this thing, I mean, I'm not discrediting anybody who's back there, but this system, if you do it correctly, can rack up a lot of yards. And I'm really hoping we can lean heavy on the run this year to kind of give them young quarterbacks some time to develop.
When was the first time you ever heard the song Country Roads?
Oh man, it would have to be after a win.
And what is that? Does that give you goosebumps to this day?
Oh, it just, that's another thing, Coach Rod. He just brings back such a tradition, where, not saying that people didn't feel like they were proud of it, but, there's like an excellence to what he's trying to do. And I think there's it's a respect. And that's why, I don't know, you hear Country Roads play after a win, man. It's like all that hard work and effort, paid off.
He joined us and
he told us, Owen, He said that, and maybe it was we asked him about the Pitt game, but or I asked him about, I know they don't burn couches anymore. And he's like, listen, we win that first big game, my ass is burning a couch. Was his exact quote.
Hey, I might be there right with them.
I got a feeling that you absolutely would be doing that.
Here's the thing. I get that, yes, it's probably not good for the air. I don't know, the stuff that's in couches is supposed to be not really that flammable for a reason. And all of that.
Hey man, this is college football.
But there could be, instead of making it against the law, why don't you look, these are old couches. These are not nice couches. The couches that are being burned really need to be burned, because I would say, especially the ones that come from the frat houses that get burnt, they're more dangerous unburned than burned.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. They could easily they could do a controlled burn. Everybody stashes their old couch up. You know what I mean? That'd be awesome to bring that tradition back.
Wouldn't it be an honor? My couch was selected for the big win?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would be darker, coal mine smoke or the couches? I mean, Owen,
some of them houses, you never know.
Oh, I know. No, you're exactly right. So you're somebody that trains people at UPS? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So what is that like, and how much, if at all, and I'm not trying to make this a dramatic, how much of what you learned as an athlete goes into training, and people have, of course, coached you or whatever? How much of that now do you use at all when you're training drivers for a company that's great like UPS?
Well, for one, it breaks the ice. Everybody kind of has something to talk about on both sides, so it's always a good football BS session, for the day. So that kind of, eases the tension. But, I think the biggest thing is the understanding that the repetitions is how you become good at the job. I had to drive first to learn how to do the job, and then I was able to go to school to learn how to train. And UPS has a great training program. It was over there in the Baltimore, Maryland area, and where the Integrad program is. And, just awesome, 117 years old is a company right now, and just, very tradition-based with Jim Casey starting this company, and how just the progressions of the unions and how he wanted that. And it's kind of like it becomes part of a team with your management staff. So, we get real close. We're obviously a tight knit group. West Virginia is a little different just because it's super small as far as, I quote unquote volume coming through would be, but, just got a cool team aspect. And then it helps a ton too with the guys. Everybody who's around here is either a WV or a Marshall fan. So you always have good stuff to talk about. Now that Tony Gibson's down in Huntington, there's still some good stuff to talk about for those Thundering Herd down there.
So you went to high school in Fairfax, Virginia. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
My dad's military, or was military, obviously. Is military, passed away 10 years ago, but he was at the Pentagon when I was probably in elementary school. And we lived in West Springfield. Isn't that near Fairfax?
Yeah.
My brother went to I lost him last year. My brother was a West Springfield Spartan. I think that's the high school. And when I saw that note in your bio, I'm like, oh my God, we used to play like Fairfax and Pop Warner and Little League and all that stuff. I know that's a random ass question for you, but it just brought back some great memories for me.
No, that's the truth. Moving to Fairfax was it was a crazy eye-opening experience, because I had grown up in Gilman, Wisconsin, which is a small town of less than 400 people. So that whole sports culture was insane in the youth programs. It was nuts.
It was. I have some great. I played at the Braddock Road Boys Club, which I'm sure that it's been taken over by big businesses or whatever. All right, so you actually before there was ever really a legitimate transfer portal, and you could only transfer is if you were a grad transfer, or you had to sit out a year. You left Wisconsin River Falls and transferred to West Virginia. What was that like back then, and what do you think now about basically what is an open transfer system?
Yeah, at the time it seemed weird that, you were transferring up, so you'd have to sit out. But in the end, it ended up working out. Gave me a year to learn the system and kind of get my strength up and earn the, quote unquote, respect of the coaches a little bit for at least enough for them to put me in the spring game, and then get a shot the next year. So, a lot of hard work and it paid off. So, I always try to tell the kids, like, look, man, if you want something, you just got to go get it. Because I was never like the, craziest, fastest athlete or whatever, but, through the weight room and the hard work and pushing yourself to a level. And that's what Coach Rod and his staff are great at doing. They're great at pushing you to a whole nother level that you thought you could never work. So, getting the best out of your kids is enormous.
Well, with all what you've done in the weight room and to protect your body and to build it up, do you have aches and pains, even though it's been a while since you played the game, or was that able to maybe delay those or keep that from happening?
Well, I'm 40 now, and I do have, aches and pains, but honestly, I feel pretty good for how old I am. I recently just started, probably about 2 years ago, really getting into weights again to just get some load on my muscles because they were just atrophying to the point where I was, and that's when I really could feel, I was just feeling kind of loosey-goosey, like the ligaments and stuff weren't as tight as they used to be. So I figured I'd get back on the squat rack and just, start conditioning myself. And I feel, tremendously better. Plus, coaching high school football has its perks. I love running around with those guys and run sprints, scout team, and that kind of deal. So I still get to be a little bit nimble, but I can definitely feel it after a explosive day that I am 40 years old.
What was your reaction? Owen Schmidt, former West Virginia fullback, played with the Seahawks, Eagles, and the Raiders. What was your reaction when you heard West Virginia was moving into the Big 12?
Well, it was to be honest with you, as a fan, it was a bummer because I just knew that, man, it's going to be hard to get to a game, for the average fan. But I think, big picture looking, we've been in the Big 12 now for a decade.
Yep.
And
longer than that. Yeah.
Longer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Longer than that. And to see really, college football is crazy right now. So just to see, I think it's still one of the premier leagues in college football. And I think it's really a sleeper league. Like there's a lot of good football in the Big 12. And, it's just a matter of at the end of the season, now that the playoffs happening, it's like, college football is like so exciting right now, in my opinion, just because of the playoff. But a chance that a top 12 team can make a playoff and make a run or win in your division, your conference championship. It's super exciting right now. The transfer portal and all that crap, it's crazy as heck. And I wish, it's going to take a while to clean that all up, but eventually I'm sure they will. And hopefully it's back. It's going to be a premier league.
Guess who his favorite player was growing up?
Moose.
No, not Moose Johnston.
Tom Rathman.
John Riggins. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, sir. Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of Owen on his Wikipedia page with a mohawk. And remember now, Riggo, he was he had a few screws loose, but a great Hall of Fame. I loved him.
I think when you run like Owen and
Riggo, John Riggins,
you can't just be like, there's a reason he's not running an accounting firm. He's got a screw loose. Right?
You can say that because he's 2,000 miles away.
I say that with love. There's a reason I'm not in.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a little bit of.
You gotta have your elevator shaft doesn't go all the way to the top.
You got to live with a little reckless abandon, and nobody wants their accountant living with reckless abandon.
But he loved John Riggins, and it's so weird, Owen. When I read that this afternoon, prepping for the show, there was a Washington. I think the Redskins or Commanders, whatever it is now, the feed showed him in his Hall of Fame because it's coming up. The Hall of Fame weekend speech that he had, and it was like a little bit of a clip. My God, he was unbelievable. For a guy his size that could run, he was something special.
Oh, dude, he was incredible. And Washington, hopefully they figure out what they're doing as far as with getting back to tradition. We'll talk about that for a second. But, the Hogs and that era of Washington football was awesome.
It really was. The Hogs and Joe Gibbs and so much more. So I know you were with the Raiders at the time in 2012, but I have to ask you this question. Where were you, or what did you do? Were you in a team meeting so you couldn't watch the game when West Virginia beat Baylor 70-63? As a fullback, where were you, and did you watch that game live, or did you just hear about it?
I heard about that game. And I watched, obviously, the highlights. I mean, it was hard not to.
All 300 of
all over ESPN, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, all 25 of the big plays in that game that were going on. God. Yeah. I sat there with my jaw dropped. I'm watching that game, I think in my condo, because I didn't go to the game. It was in Morgantown, and I just sat there and I was like, my God.
Anytime I run into a defensive coach from either one of those that was on the staff, with either one of those teams, I will ask them how they felt that day. And they're like, that's the darkest day of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I mean.
You know what was also unfair? And Phil Bennett had just become the defensive coordinator. And Owen, what was unfair is they're like, damn, Baylor defense gave up 70 points, and West Virginia gave up 63. Yeah. And nobody ever brought that up. It's not like it was 70-7.
That was back when Big 12 was all about scoring.
That's
and
all it was.
Defense.
Yeah, now it's changed. They've changed it. They got guys like Matt Campbell, Dave Aranda, and others, defensive coaches. Texas Tech just hired a bright young coach out of Houston, Shield Wood, and what Kansas State always seems to do. And man, it's really gotten a lot better. There's still going to be a shootout or two, but yeah, they've really kind of changed things up with what they do schematically in defense.
Yeah, it's becoming, like I said, the league's definitely evolving, and I think for the better. And it's going to be a tough competition. I kind of like where they placed West Virginia. It kind of gives Rich a little gunpowder and lights the fire already early.
Yeah, he seemed to be so pumped up when we saw him at Big 12 Media Days in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Frisco. He was something else, man. He was fun. I could see where he would be someone to go out and have a couple of beers with, except I don't think it would just be a couple of beers. I think he would sit there and spend all night talking to us about stories at a sports bar or tailgate. Oh, and it's a pleasure. Jet Dreading, by the way, suggested you would be a great segment. He's absolutely right. We hope to stay in touch with you. Good luck with what you're doing with your career and also sharing memories with us today.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. Take care, and God bless.
You too. That's Owen Schmidt, West Virginia fullback, and then played in the NFL as well for, 4 or 5 years, including the last year with Oakland. Was Oakland at the time, the Raiders, Seahawks, Eagles, and Raiders. When we come back, we'll have Paul Catalina at his top 5. We'll also have the poll results. We're going to kick over the freaks to tomorrow, right? And actually, like Garrett, remind me.
Oh, we got it.
That's a segment. Like it will put that in a segment. Bruce Feldman might even be one of our guests tomorrow. I'm not sure. Reached out to him on his annual freaks list, which has got some Big 12 players involved. In fact, one of them is at number 14. All right. Not saying goodbye yet by any means. Brandon Rowe. Did Brandon Is he ever going to go behind
So,
that table
he'll be back
again?
tomorrow.
No. I saw what was going on.
So
Brandon is not coming back tomorrow.
No, he is. We are eventually going to make this work, but I don't think he's got the flow down yet. He needs to sit there and watch Garrett do the first segment, which Garrett has mastered. And so there we go.
Now, if Garrett can be like Owen Schmidt and helping teach those guys who are driving UPS trucks and help Brandon Rowe, you could not have pulled a needle out of his ass with a dump truck after about the first 2 minutes of the show.
No.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul. I was good during that time too.
I got a little distracted.
Yeah, because I like, hey, I'm here too.
Yeah,
because no one ever recognizes me on this show.
Yeah. You tell that to your therapist.
Yeah,
and see if they do a little research.
Here's the problem. I am my own therapist.
That's not good. It's not good.
Can you imagine?
That's not good.
What do you mean you're helping yourself? Yeah,
no.
Andrew Valade and his polls today. We'll have the results in just a moment. We appreciate all of you. And what did I say about tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Dan Wetzel from ESPN will be one of our guests tomorrow on the show. Phil Bennett, nothing today. He and Julie, I mentioned this earlier. I had the best time with him. I cannot tell you what an unbelievable host he was. They're on a big trip, leaving next week. He'll be back the Monday prior to the first full weekend of the college football season.
He's going to get himself a summer home in the south of France.
Yeah, he's going to Normandy.
No, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and he told me he's had some others that he's known, veterans or otherwise, that have been there, and they've tried to prep him that you cannot prepare for the immense pride and just the emotions. I'm surprised that you and I got to take a road trip there
to Phil's house.
No, to Normandy.
To Normandy. Oh yeah, look,
military fathers. I mean, are you kidding me?
I'm just telling you, we should do 365.
You're not allowed to go into
Europe.
my Phil's. That's my cave.
Okay, 365 sports in Europe would be an amazing thing.
God, I don't know.
Listen.
Which country over there can we go to?
Now, I'm going to tell you right now that the people in Luxembourg are ready to party with us.
No, they aren't. Yeah.
They talk about us big in Luxembourg.
Let's go to Finland.
Finland? Heck yeah. Hey, look.
Hockey, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go to Switzerland.
Norway, Switzerland. I'll go to them all.
Norway and Switzerland and Finland. We'll do it. We'll do
that.
Yeah.
We'll do Germany, Italy. Like, we'll go on a European tour.
No, we're going to go to Scotland and play golf.
Oh, we'll do it all. Look, listen. Hey, Europe.
Yeah.
There's people watching us in Europe. Help us make it happen.
Yeah, Alan Samuels, House of Travel. That'd be a pretty big ticket for them to try to underwrite for us.
We can do like a cruise or something. I don't know.
All right.
Hop on a different place.
Garrett Ross has been running the mothership, and he's not done. Brandon Rowe has been trying to suck on his finger since about 3:00 Central today. And then also Andrew Valade, of course, doing, as I mentioned, we'll have his poll results and more. This is 365 Sports. Ideal MRI, Dr. Rob Maxey, what an incredible business that he has built with his partners. Ideal MRI is in the Central Texas marketplace on the southern part of Waco, just off of I-35. I know where to go to get there. I've been there, not just once to sit down and ask, hey, we'd like for you to endorse what we do. Hey, I've been asked to endorse products before, businesses before, and they give me a lot of information. And I hope I do a great job for them. But when you experience a business that you're endorsing like I have with Ideal MRI, it's easy. I don't need any copy points. I know exactly what they do. They find out why you are hurting in such pain to the point where you don't sleep well. When you wake up, you might have gotten some rest, and then, oh my God, it's your back or your shoulder or your neck or something else. They're going to find what's wrong with you. Dr. Maxey and his staff, $497 or less every single time. The average MRI is $1,100 at idealmri.com.
by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Number 5, and possibly the most important on this list, Tommy Castellanos at FSU. Previously at UCF and Boston College, that UCF relationship with Gus Malzahn is one of the things that brought him to Florida State, and he will try to get Florida State back to their glory. I talked to a buddy of mine who's a high school coach down in Florida over the weekend, and he thinks that if they just have a guy who can run around back there and not be a wuss, his words, not mine, about DJU. I mean, I didn't argue with him, but that Florida State should be better. So, Tommy C., run around. Don't be a wuss. That's what I will have the moniker on for this year. Nakai Hill-Green from Bama. One works out. Number 3, CJ Daniels, who is at Miami now and is the first of 2 Miami players on this list, was previously at Liberty and LSU. Didn't really get the opportunity to do much at LSU because he spent most of the year injured. Correct, Garrett?
That is correct.
Yeah. So I'm a little surprised that he didn't just come back and stay with LSU, because I think LSU's quarterback is better, but maybe they both thought, this didn't work out, let's move on. So he moved on to Miami, where he will try and help out another guy on this list, Carson Beck, and we'll get to him in a second. Find that elusive glory for Miami and for Carson Beck, who was on the team when Georgia won their national titles, but was not the starting quarterback, was the quarterback of the future. So CJ Daniels moves on to down to Miami to try to get them over the hump. Will it work, or will they be 9-3? I think they'll be 9-3. That's just me talking, though. I'm whispering. I think they've got a lot of good players, but I think they'll be 9-3. I agree. Was that like secret enough, Garrett?
Definitely.
Okay, good deal. I don't want to seem biased. This one I really like. Malachi Fields goes to Notre Dame from Virginia. Big, strong, fast wide receiver. Should help out C.J. Carr there. Now, Notre Dame's going to be all about the running game, but you put him on the other side of Jaden Greathouse. I like that at Notre Dame. I like it a lot. I think it's going to do well. C.J. Carr in his first year as the starter, but this could be fun with those wideouts at Notre Dame, especially with everybody hell-bent for leather trying to stop Jeremiah Love in that running game. And number 1, the aforementioned Carson Beck. Here's the thing about Carson Beck. He's never been bad, but he's never really been great. And his recruiting ranking and his status would lead you to believe that he was at one point going to be great. Now, does he have to be great to win at Miami with the weapons he has around him? No, he has to be good. He has to be very good. But the thing I'm concerned about is he is not an off-schedule playmaker like Cam Ward is. Cam Ward's a guy who, when it all breaks down, you haven't beaten him. In fact, when it all breaks down, you've given him new opportunities, and he's really good at that. Carson Beck, not that guy. Now, can he throw the ball pretty much wherever he wants and how far he wants to? Oh, yeah. He's got a cannon. But is the off-schedule stuff going to be where Miami wins this year? Because that is why they won a lot of games last year, and they won a lot of games in panic time as well. Do those games swing the other way because the man who did it, Cam Ward, is gone? That's a lot of pressure on Carson Beck to keep this going at Miami, who's trying to get back to who they were 20 years ago, and it's not going so well so far, except for last year when they had the Heisman Trophy winner. That's going to do it for the top 5. Smokey's got some polls, and my God, he's got a lot of stuff on his desk.
No, I do. I have magazines. I got a couple of these hats. By the way, Andrew Valade, thank you very much. The black and white 365 sports caps from Custom Inc. Thank you very much. I have reached out to our previous ownership about getting one of these hats in the high top, whatever, not the old, not like Rich Rod or Les Miles. That's the one.
Yeah.
But would love to get these. I'll talk to you, Andrew, about that after the show, because Kim Coulter would buy 100 of them if you gave him the opportunity. And it's something that we never got done previously. So that was kind of a disappointment. All right. Poll results. Can Texas maintain its number 1 ranking throughout the season? Now, I read this a couple of different ways. Start to finish. Beat Ohio State, never look back. Man, that'd be one hell of a run, because you'd be, 14, 15, or 16-0? My God, and to beat Ohio State, and you're also going to beat Georgia and whoever else. I said, no, there's just too many challenges ahead. If they run the table, God bless them. Whether you like UT or not, I don't care. You do that, and you start off in Columbus, God bless you. I said no challenges are ahead. That's the highest one.
I don't think many teams will maintain their number 1 ranking wire to wire anymore. And it doesn't happen that often anyway. I mean, there's not that many in his, even the ones that start at number 1 and end up number 1 along the way might have a game where, number 2 team beats a good team 35-3, and then you struggle through one of your mediocre, opponents. You both wind up undefeated, right? But you beat Wake Forest 17-14. They beat LSU 35-3.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, well, this team is clearly better. And then by the end of the season, when they played each other, you're like, well, no, that was just that week.
Notre Dame has the most unbeaten championship campaigns with 6. But remember, some of those might have been 10-0.
Yeah.
Nebraska and Alabama have
7-0.
5 each. And they were good, man.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe even 6 or
Earlier,
7-0.
yeah.
All right. Which pro sports midseason showcase is the best? Now, Field of Dreams is what? I know the movie. This is not the All-Star game.
No, they play the game in the Field of Dreams.
Okay, that's what I thought, because they played baseball at Bristol, right? This
Yeah.
past weekend, had weather issues the first day.
Yeah, it rained, yeah.
Yep, and then the infield was just a mess.
So the in-season tournament coming in last year is not a surprise at all, given the fact that nobody even really knows the point of it.
There you go. Nobody knows the point of it, and I don't know what it means.
It's supposed to be like soccer. In soccer, here's the thing. In international soccer, they have all these mid-season cups, and they mean a lot to the fans.
Yep.
They do, but the in-season tournament is so new, and part of it with the in England, they have all these the cups, the FA Cup, all these different things. Well, you also are playing teams that you never play inside your classification, inside your inside your league.
Soccer, yeah.
So you can be in the 3rd league down and then play Manchester United and maybe win that game. And if you're not in the Premier League and you're there and you beat Man U and your little town in Scotland, that's a pretty big ass deal.
You think they drink some beers?
Oh yeah.
Lagers?
Yeah. So those things,
Pints?
At the in-season tournament, if they played teams from Greece and stuff like that, maybe that would be fun. I don't know, but a lot of those guys.
And now, doesn't the WNBA have a President's Trophy in the middle of the year too? And
that it's
you know what that means? That means your league sucks. That you have to do that in the middle of the year, not an All-Star game.
But I don't know if it. Well, I mean, I can't stand up for it too much.
Well,
but,
the Field of Dreams,
but at least
though,
with
is
the Presidents,
at a location.
At least with the President's Cup and the WNBA, it's another way for them to make a little money. So it makes some sense. But the players, I mean, not the league, the players. But the NBA doesn't need money in the in-season tournament. The Field of Dreams is the location. Same with the NHL Winter Classic.
Right.
Like, they're kind of the same. Like, I'm surprised that this wasn't 50-50 across the board.
Right.
The other
Pretty
two
close,
didn't get anything. But they're really close. I mean, this is nearly a tie statistically, the way that it's done, because that's the cool thing is they play in these cool spots. They play. You look at Major League Baseball has done games in Cooperstown, right? They've done games in Williamsport. You know, where they have to play it on a different field, but they've done games in Williamsport, which is really cool. The NHL Winter Classic being outdoors.
I mean, it was at Ohio State this past year. It was
Yeah,
at the Big House.
In Columbus,
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool to see that.
Well, they had it at Bristol, but the weather was an issue, and apparently the grounds crew was not very prepared.
Yeah, and then they had the Cotton Bowl, and it worked out fine, which is wild.
By the way, they had those Little League playoffs going on in Waco. Did you hear about the game between Oklahoma and I think it's Texas East? So Texas East was winning. I hope I got Texas East was winning like 5-1 or 4-1. And they stopped the game because one of the umpires, the second base umpire, thought that he saw the player on second, the base runner on second was giving away signs to the batter. Stealing signs, or what's that term? Tipping off signs. Umpire calls the game. They go. They look for a replay. They decide no, he didn't do anything. Obviously you got the kids kind of all disgruntled. The parents, God, nothing worse than Little League parents. I used to be one of them. And so they go to the replay. They come back. Everything's the same. The first damn pitch after that, the kid hits like a grand slam.
That's hilarious.
Wins the game. Oklahoma. I think it was Oklahoma who won the game. One of the few things Oklahoma wins now.
Very true.
The great tradition with all their. We'll see what happens this year again.
We have international super chats, right?
This is from when we're going to make a road trip to Berlin.
Go to Munich. Okay, thank you,
Chris Bartles. Thank you, sir. Go to Munich. Fabian, he's our German
Luxembourg
guy.
is close.
He's our German guy, but he lives in Germany.
Listen,
Luxembourg,
yeah, I want to go to Luxembourg.
All right.
Yeah.
Chris Bartles.
The Hofbrau House.
There used to be a place in Tyler called the Hofbrau. It's a kind of a sports bar, restaurant,
I think
steakhouse.
This is the original Hofbrau.
Probably means there's beer.
Yes.
They used to have
Deutsche beer.
They're the ones that used to do the deep fried potato chip type potato.
Look at Kieran Woods.
What?
Watching from Ireland.
What a great name. What a great name.
Oh, it's a very good Irish name too.
Watching from Ireland, come play golf. We wouldn't play some. We would play all day. Kieran, okay?
Yeah, give me a pint of the black stuff. I'll be good.
And here's our Fabian again. I will take autogram if you come to Germany.
Okay, I don't know what autogram is.
That's a transportation.
Oh, it is? Okay, yeah.
Isn't it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So look, here's the thing. There is a minor groundswell, a grassroots campaign in especially in Germany and Ireland to get us there. So I think that we need to get there.
I think you need to go to Lubbock and actually go there to start.
We're going to do.
Speaking of Lubbock,
hey, we're going to get to Lubbock. I'm telling you, that's going to happen.
Here you go. I will truly buy 100 to give away.
There we go.
What, pints?
Hats.
No. Here's why. Kim's
too.
the one, Texas Tech Kim is the one that we had an order. It never showed up. I'm not sure, but I've communication, working on it. And Andrew, of course, we will have a discussion because he's going to have to do Brandon's job and what he's doing now after today. I mean, Brandon's gone.
In red and black or black and red?
No. He remember the all white.
The all white ones.
With the logo.
Okay.
Craig wears those hats all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wear my black one and red one when I'm playing golf at Bear Ridge or Ridgewood. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cam. Thank you all. Man, what a great day. Thank you. Back tomorrow. Garrett Ross, thank you so much. 365 Sports tonight at 10:30 on the CW. And then also to Andrew Valade, the poll results, Paul's Top 5. Back tomorrow. Join us at 3. Have a great night. Thanks to all of our incredible sponsors and the debut of Batteries Plus. We've had them on, but the debut of Batteries Plus and Stir to Steel. This is 365 Sports.